Chapter 34-24. There was definitely a great secret buried in the Taiyin desolate domain. Jiyu Fei and the others had only just entered the domain, and they had already encountered strange and terrifying creatures, the nether spirits. The terror of the nether spirits did not lie in their strength, but in the poison in their bodies. It was the poison of the nether spirits. Legend had it that the nether spirits were contaminated with the corpse poison of the supreme martial artist. That was why the poison of the nether spirits was so powerful. Of course, this was just a legend. At this moment, in the underground black hole, Jiyu Fei and the demonic vine were fighting fiercely. The entire huge space was shaking, and gravel and dust kept falling from the top of the hole. Boom! Jiyu Fei punched out and directly shattered the 5 black vines that pierced through him. The demonic vine let out a strange cry and turned into a black shadow that quickly retreated. However, Jiyu Fei followed it like a shadow and punched out again. Buzz! The void trembled. This time, he used his true strength. A dazzling golden light erupted from his fist. The void was distorted, as if the universe had been turned upside down. In the next moment, the demonic vine was swallowed by the fist force of Jiyu Fei's metal element fist. This was a fist technique created by Jiyu Fei. Each punch was like a world. Once the metal element fist was used, it was like a golden world had been opened up. The demonic vine seemed to have entered a different world. In this world, it was an ant, and Jiyu Fei was the supreme ruler. Roar! The devil's vine sensed a great threat. It roared furiously and attacked. Streams of pitch-black vines rushed out from its body and instantly pierced through the golden world. Above the blurry figure, layers of pitch-black death chi spread out. The death chi was actually corroding this golden world. The golden void was being annihilated and became dim. Humph! How could a mere devil's vine become so powerful? Jiyu Fei's voice sounded in the golden world. In the chaos realm, the demonic vine was a very common creature among demons. However, this demonic vine was ridiculously powerful. No one had ever heard of a demonic vine being able to cultivate to this level. Rumble! At this moment, the world created by Jiyu Fei's fist force shook violently and was about to collapse. The demonic vine had displayed a combat strength that was far beyond Jiyu Fei's imagination. Kill! Jiyu Fei roared. The elemental metal fist instantly turned into the elemental fire fist. Endless heavenly fire burst out from the void, and the elemental metal fist instantly turned into the elemental fire fist. The 5 elements universe fist created by Jiyu Fei was extremely powerful. If it was an ordinary quasi-supreme martial artist, he would have been killed long ago. However, this demonic vine was much more powerful than an ordinary quasi-supreme martial artist's. Even with Jiyu Fei's cultivation, it was not an easy task to kill the demonic vine. However, when Jiyu Fei unleashed his fire element fist, the devil's vine actually became afraid. The black vines that rushed out from its body actually shrank back. The 5 elements reinforce and subdue each other. Could it be that fire subdues wood? When Jiyu Fei saw this, his eyes immediately lit up. The devil's vine roared and dodged continuously. All the black vines retreated back into the black gas, and the blurry figure became even more blurry. The heavenly fire transformed from Jiyu Fei's fire element fist force enveloped the black gas. The entire world of fire seemed to have become a furnace, trying to refine the black gas. Under the shroud of Huotian, the deathly aura emanating from the devil's vine's body was constantly being refined. However, the deathly aura from the devil's vine's body was still unceasingly flowing out, as if it was endless. However much death chi Jiyu Fei's heaven flame refined, the same amount of death chi would be released from the devil's vine's body to replenish the consumed death chi. Roar! The devil's vine was constantly roaring, and rays of strange black light rushed out from its body. Within the black light, one could vaguely see the death Dao pattern. At this moment, Jiyu Fei exerted the power of the fire elemental fist to the limit. 9 fire elemental Dao patterns appeared indistinctly in the endless fiery sky. Each Dao pattern erupted with terrifying fire elemental power, as though 9 divine suns had appeared in this fire elemental world. In the next moment, the The deathly aura around the devil's vine turned into green smoke and dissipated in the void. The devil's vine was emitting smoke, and it was about to be refined into ashes by the heaven flame. However, a ball of black light suddenly emerged from the devil's vine. As soon as the ball of black light appeared, the surrounding heaven flame's power was immediately repelled. It was as if a pitch-black world had been opened up. An extremely powerful death chi tore apart Gu Fei's fire Chenkuan power. Swish! Without any hesitation, the devil's vine rushed out. However, just as the devil's vine rushed out from Gu Fei's fire Chenkuan, a fist suddenly smashed on the devil's vine's body. A violent power erupted, and the devil's vine was actually shattered by this fist in the void. An item flew out from the devil's vine's body. When Gu Fei saw this item, he couldn't help but be taken aback. A cold aura was emitted from that item, and the surrounding void seemed to solidify. It's just a fragment, but Gu Fei extended his hand, and that item immediately flew towards him. However, in the next moment, a devil's shadow rushed out from the side and instantly fused with that fragment. Boom! In the next moment, a terrifying death chi erupted, and a blurry figure appeared in the void. Immediately, black vines rushed out from the figure and entangled towards Gu Fei. What? Gu Fei was a little surprised. The devil's vine that was smashed into pieces actually reassembled its real body in an instant. Its cultivation and combat power were actually even stronger than before, and its ferocity was unpredictable. The more I fight, the stronger I become. Gu Fei didn't dodge. When the black spear-like vines pierced through his body, it was as if they had hit a transparent wall and were all blocked. Let's stop here. As Gu Fei spoke, his body shook. Buzz! With a deafening sound, the shadow of an ancient cauldron immediately emerged from his body. An unstoppable force erupted from his body, and a circle of transparent ripples spread from his body. Wherever the ripples passed, the black vines directly shattered in the void. The ripples in the void instantly penetrated the devil's vine's real body. In the next moment, the black gas surrounding the devil's vine that had just reassembled its body immediately dissipated, and a human-shaped black vine was revealed. This black vine had already grown eyes, ears, a mouth, and a nose, and was about to transform into a human. In fact, with the devil's vine's cultivation, it should have been able to transform into a human long ago. However, for some reason, it couldn't. Crack! Suddenly, a sound came from the human-shaped black vine's body. Cracks appeared on the human-shaped black vine's body, and black blood flowed out from the depths of the cracks. Then, the human-shaped black vine directly shattered in the void, and the fragment fell from the human-shaped black vine's body. Gu Fei extended his hand, and the fragment was caught in his hand. An extremely cold aura immediately came from the fragment in his hand. He lowered his head to take a look, and couldn't help but be shocked. He saw that a layer of white frost had appeared on his right hand, which was holding onto the fragment. A cold aura invaded his right hand, and it was gradually spreading upwards. Without hesitation, Gu Fei directly activated the mountain and river cauldron's power, and forced the cold aura onto his right hand. A fragment of a supreme Tao artifact. Gu Fei carefully looked at the black and swarthy fragment in his hand. This fragment was not even as big as his palm, but the aura it emitted could definitely kill an ordinary quasi-supreme being. The cold aura emitted from the fragment could definitely seal an ordinary quasi-supreme being, but no quasi-supreme being would be so bored as to touch a mysterious metal fragment. What a pity. Gu Fei shook his head. A supreme Tao artifact was destroyed just like that, and even he felt that it was a pity. At that moment, the human-shaped devil's vine could no longer reform its true body. Just as Gu Fei got rid of the devil's vine, Kang Q and the others were fighting against the three great nether spirits. The three nether spirits were extremely powerful, and they were fighting endlessly with Kang Q and the others. The three great nether spirits' physical bodies were extremely strong, but they seemed to be unaffected by Kang Q's continuous attacks. How was that possible? These guys must be cultivators who accidentally trespassed here and were killed by the devil's vine. Demon God Venerable said while fighting against another nether spirit. Although the nether spirits were terrifying and their physical bodies were almost indestructible, they still had weaknesses. It didn't take long for everyone to discern the true nature of these yin spirits. At that moment, the divine yin demon spider made his move. He waved his hand, and a huge net immediately appeared in the void, and then it directly went towards the three nether spirits. It was the mystical yin demonic net formed by the power of the lunar force. The mystical yin demonic net fell and immediately trapped the nether spirit that was fighting against Kang-Q. The nether spirit struggled in fear, but it could not break free from the mystical yin demonic net. "Go to hell!" Kang-Q roared angrily, and a sword light immediately rushed out from his body. It instantly shot into the nether spirit's eye that was trapped by the mystical yin demonic net. In the next moment, the yin spirit started to struggle violently and let out a hair-raising howl. But it didn't take long for the yin spirit to stop moving. Kang-Q and the others immediately breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that. Finally, one nether spirit was taken care of. The remaining two nether spirits would be easy to deal with. The three great nether spirits were all taken care of. Yu Qiong immediately walked up to them and took out a jade bottle to store the nether spirit's blood that oozed out from the nether spirit's body. That kind of thing could only be found by luck. A drop of nether spirit's blood could be exchanged for a lot of cultivation resources. Yu Qiong naturally would not waste it. However, the demon god and the others did not move. They looked at Yu Qiong disdainfully. They disdained using poison to harm people as it was too despicable. However, Yu Qiong did not care about it. If one wanted to survive, one had to do whatever it took. Chapter 34-25. Just when Jiyu Fei and the others were killing the devil's vines and the three incomparably powerful yin spirits, the entire cave suddenly shook. Cracks appeared on the walls of the cave. Rumble. The entire cave was about to collapse. At the same time, an even more powerful aura surged out from the depths of the ground. Everyone was incomparably shocked. "Let's go out first," Jiyu Fei said loudly. Then, he raised his hand and slapped upwards. A huge hand appeared in the void. Boom! The entire ceiling of the underground cavern exploded. A huge hand that was even bigger than a mountain rushed out from the ground and slapped towards the sky. The huge hand grew bigger and bigger. Very soon, it covered the entire sky. This was the martial arts combat technique, Heaven Covering Hand. The power of a single hand covering the sky wasn't just a legend. Of course, in the current world, there were definitely less than 3 people who could cultivate Heaven Covering Hand to such a level. The huge hand eventually dissipated into the void. Rumble. It was as though the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. Such a scene was too shocking. However, the most unfortunate one was the yin spirit that was almost forgotten by everyone. The yin spirit was nailed in the void by the devil's spear. Black blood continuously seeped out and dripped along the spear to the ground, corroding the ground. At this moment, the extremely tyrannical power that erupted from the ground directly shattered the nether spirit that was nailed in the void by the demonic spear into a cloud of blood mist, and it could not be more dead than it was. Roar. Just when Jiyu Fei and the others rushed out from the ground, a dull roar came from the depths of the ground. The entire ground was shaking. The sky changed color and the sun and moon lost their radiance. This was simply as horrifying as the arrival of the apocalypse. "There's another big guy in the depths of the ground?" Kang-Q was astonished. He could feel the power and terror of the aura that surged out from the depths of the ground. That unknown and mysterious creature was definitely much stronger than the devil's vines that Jiyu Fei killed. Jiyu Fei and the others rushed up to the sky and looked down. Boom! With a loud bang, a huge tentacle broke through the ground. Like a mountain ridge, it swept towards Jiyu Fei and the others in the sky. Buzz! Kang-Q made his move. He opened his mouth and spat out a ray of sword light. The moment the ray of sword light appeared, it turned into a 1,000-foot-long sword rainbow that slashed at the huge tentacle. A powerful and sharp ripple of sword chi spread out from the light, causing ripples visible to the naked eye to appear in the air. Clang! When the sword rainbow chopped down on the tentacle, sparks flew in all directions. It was unable to break the layer of greenish-black scales covering the tentacle. What? Kang-Q was shocked. His sword light actually couldn't hurt this tentacle at all. How was this possible? One must know that he had already used his trump card. When the crowd saw this, they were all shocked. How is this possible? Even an extreme path sword can't hurt this guy. Ji Yufei's eyes lit up. He could naturally tell that the sword light that Kang Q spat out was extraordinary. There was a flying sword wrapped in the sword light. It was a sword that Kang Q refined himself. Back then, Kang Q was an extreme path sovereign. This sword that he refined into his body was forged by him through countless efforts. Boom! At this moment, there was another loud bang. Another tentacle broke through the ground and rushed out. A violent death aura erupted from the tentacle. The terrifying death aura instantly enveloped the entire region. At this moment, everyone saw that the situation was not good and had already retreated far away. Only Kang Q and the three gargoyles did not retreat. Yu Qiong was the first to escape. At this moment, the ground suddenly bulged. The creature in the ground was about to break through the ground and rush out. "Eat my palm!" Ji Yufei shouted and slapped his right hand down. A tyrannical martial arts energy erupted from his hand and turned into a huge hand that covered the sky. Boom! The ground trembled. The huge palm shadow slapped on the bulging ground and actually caused the bulging ground to sink down. A huge palm print appeared on the ground. The entire ground suffered a great impact. The ground sank and a terrifying energy fluctuation spread in all directions. Mountains directly collapsed and the ground undulated like waves. Roar! A dull roar came from the ground. The creature in the ground seemed to be angered. An even more tyrannical aura erupted from the ground. Then, the ground that collapsed from Ji Yufei's palm quickly bulged again. With an earth-shattering sound, a black shadow that was countless times bigger than a mountain broke through the ground and stood up from the ground. At this moment, even Ji Yufei was a little stunned when he saw the scene. Kang Q and the others were even more dumbfounded because they saw an unbelievable scene. The creature that stood up from the ground had its head touching the sky and its feet stepping on the ground. The air that it breathed out turned into a gust of wind. The two tentacles that broke through the ground were actually the creature's hair. Even the ancient giants were nothing in front of this big guy. Yu Qiong was so shocked by the scene that he was speechless. No one had ever seen such a huge person before. Of course, this person was definitely not a human, but a humanoid. Roar! The giant came out and roared at the sky. The dark clouds that shrouded the sky were dispersed and the entire void looked like it was about to explode. Yu Qiong and Peng Shi's cultivation was not as strong as Kang Q and the others. They were immediately shaken by the sound wave and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. Their faces became extremely pale. Even the monster god's face showed a strange expression. The creature was too big and too powerful. The hair on its head was like a mountain ridge. The mountain on the ground was not even as tall as its heel. Ji Yufei and the others were probably even smaller than a grain of sand in the eyes of this gigantic creature. The difference in size between them was huge. Even so, the gigantic creature still had its eyes on Ji Yufei. The super giant opened its mouth and sucked, and Ji Yufei was immediately sucked into the black hole-like mouth. A tyrannical extreme force erupted from Ji Yufei's body. In the next moment, he stopped in the void. No matter how strong the devouring power was, it could not move him. In the next moment, Ji Yufei's figure abruptly expanded, turning into a towering giant. Endless chaotic aura swirled around him. Every stream of chaotic energy was bigger than a mountain ridge. The creature was obviously taken aback when it saw Ji Yufei suddenly turning into the same size as it. While the creature was stunned, Ji Yufei made his move. A fist rapidly enlarged in the creature's eyes. Bam! The fist fiercely smashed on the supergiant's face. The sound of bones breaking was heard. The creature screamed and staggered back. Drops of blood dripped from its face. When a drop of blood fell on the ground, it turned into a small lake. A drop of blood turning into a sea, this was not something that only existed in legends. This super creature's blood contained an incomparably powerful essence energy. Once this essence energy dissipated, that small lake would turn into a real sea of blood. Roar! The giant creature roared angrily. Its long hair danced and turned into tentacles, Entangling Jiu Fei. Jiu Fei laughed and directly reached out to grab the entangling tentacles. He then swung the giant creature and smashed it hard on the ground. Boom! With a loud bang, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. Dust flew high into the sky and covered the entire region. Who knew how many mountains were directly crushed by the giant spirit? Seeing this, everyone's mouths were wide open. The battle between Jiu Fei and Zhu Ling was simply too violent and direct. There were no killing arts or divine abilities. Instead, it was a close-range fight. When such a huge creature fought, it destroyed an area. Even Kang Qiu and the others had to retreat far away. The giant creature's strength was undeniable. Such a powerful being could kill someone like Yu Qiong with just one finger. The earth shook and countless mountains turned into dust. Even the beast corpse with the blood of a real dragon was grabbed by the giant creature and smashed towards Jiu Fei. Bam! Jiu Fei threw a punch and smashed the beast corpse, forcing the giant creature to retreat. Just as Jiu Fei pushed the giant creature back, a black spear-like tentacle instantly pierced Jiu Fei's chest, leaving a big hole in his clothes, revealing the sky-blue immortal gold battle armor underneath. Good heavens! Jiu Fei was shocked. This giant creature was not simple. If he was not wearing the sky-blue immortal gold battle armor, he might have been injured. How could there be such a powerful being in such a dangerous place? That fella actually came here? At this time, on a mountain far away, a few figures appeared. The leader was an old ancestor of the Golden Crow clan. Old ancestor, this fella is digging his own grave. A young cultivator behind the old ancestor of the Golden Crow clan said. Although the giant spirit demon is powerful, I'm afraid he won't be able to kill Jiu Fei. The old ancestor of the Golden Crow clan stared at the figure fighting with the giant creature and said while gritting his teeth. If it wasn't for this fella, the Golden Crow clan would not have been defeated so badly and had to hide here. Then what should we do? The young man from the Golden Crow clan said unwillingly. Jiu Fei was the biggest enemy of the Golden Crow clan. Everyone in the Golden Crow clan could not wait to tear him into pieces. Since the giant spirit demon can't kill Jiu Fei, let's attract a stronger opponent for Jiu Fei. The old ancestor of the Golden Crow clan showed a vicious look. Yeah, why didn't we think of that? The young expert from the Golden Crow clan said. We'll do it now. Jiu Fei, it's hard for you not to die this time. Chapter 34-26. Although there were dangers everywhere in the Taiyin Desperate Domain, there were some places where spiritual qi gathered, which was a rare spiritual land in the world. However, such a place was definitely extremely rare in the Taiyin Desperation Domain. Moreover, such a place was surrounded by powerful creatures. No one knew that the Golden Crow clan could find a spiritual land in the Taiyin Desperate Domain and successfully retreat to this spiritual land to preserve their strength. In fact, Jiu Fei had already vaguely guessed that the Golden Crow clan might have deliberately exposed their tracks and lured him into the Taiyin Desperate Domain. They wanted to use the dangers of the Taiyin Desperate Domain to deal with him. However, Jiu Fei was bold. He clearly knew that he would encounter unimaginable dangers in the Taiyin Desperate Domain, but he still broke into it. At this time, less than 50 kilometers away from the Taiyin Desperate Domain, two incomparably huge figures were fighting fiercely. Horrible auras burst out from the two figures, shaking the whole area. What happened in the Taiyin Desperate Domain? The movement in the Taiyin Desperate Domain was so great that it soon alarmed the practitioners outside the Taiyin Desperate Domain. Many practitioners appeared outside the Taiyin Desperate Domain. That is, some powerful figures appeared outside the Taiyin Desperate Domain. The legendary giant spirit demon? An old voice was heard. The practitioners outside the Taiyin Desperate Domain were all shocked. Then, they looked in the direction of the voice and saw an old man walking slowly from the sky with a walking stick. This was an old man. This old man was really old, as if he had lived for countless years. There was an incomparably ancient and vicissitudes of life in his body. The old man's hair had almost fallen off. Only a few strands of white and yellow hair were hanging on the back of his head. His turbid eyes were devoid of any spirit. However, when the practitioners outside the Taiyin Desperate Domain saw this old man, they were all extremely nervous. Even those powerful creatures retreated far away. This seemingly senile old man actually shocked all the practitioners outside the tie-in desperate domain. It really is the giant spirit demon. Who released this demon? The old man came closer. When he saw the two figures fighting in the tie-in desperate domain, his turbid eyes finally showed a trace of spirit. The legendary giant spirit demon? How is that possible? Wasn't that demon killed 10,000 years ago? Some people who knew the background of the giant spirit demon were in disbelief when they heard the old man's words. The giant spirit demon in the tie-in desolate domain was definitely one of the most powerful creatures in the tie-in desolate domain. However, 10,000 years ago, the east continent of the ancestral god realm was full of experts. 10,000 years ago, a peerless expert, the giant spirit demon, appeared in the east continent. It was said that the peerless expert entered the tie-in desolate domain alone and killed the giant spirit demon. Of course, this was only a legend. No one knew the truth. Now that the giant spirit demon had appeared, the legend of the giant spirit demon being killed by an unparalleled expert 10,000 years ago was naturally groundless. Who is that person fighting endlessly with the giant spirit demon? Someone said in shock. The strength of the giant spirit demon was absolute. However, there was actually someone who could contend against the giant spirit demon. This was beyond the imagination of all the cultivators. Could it be him? The old man said thoughtfully all of a sudden. At this moment, Jiu Fei and the giant spirit demon were fighting at close range. Dull sounds of collisions were constantly heard, often accompanied by the sound of bones breaking. Jiu Fei was a quasi-supreme martial artist. Close combat was his forte. In just an instant, the giant spirit demon had suffered countless punches. The giant spirit demon was sent flying by Jiu Fei's fists. Blood oozed out of his 7 orifices, making him look extremely hideous. At the same time, the black chain formed by the giant spirit demon's long hair whipped hard on Jiu Fei's body. His clothes were instantly torn into pieces, revealing his sturdy upper body. His upper body was enveloped by a layer of faint immortal light. Within the immortal light, one could vaguely see an immortal armor that blocked the black chain. However, although the sky-blue immortal gold armor on Jiu Fei's body had blocked the black chain formed by the giant spirit demon's hair, the power that erupted from the black chain still sent Jiu Fei flying and smashing him to the ground. Boom! The entire ground shook violently. Countless mountains were instantly crushed by Jiu Fei's huge body. The ground was covered in smoke and dust. It was a complete mess. Roar! The giant spirit demon got up from the ground. He opened his mouth and spat a mouthful of pitch-black demonic fire at Jiu Fei. The demonic fire instantly exploded and enveloped a region. Naturally, it also enveloped Jiu Fei. The demonic fire from the giant spirit demon's mouth caused the void to collapse and be annihilated. A terrifying destructive aura spread. Jiu Fei also stood up from the ground. His body was enveloped by a layer of hazy immortal light. All the demonic fire that was burning towards him was blocked by the immortal light on his body. What? Seeing this, the giant spirit demon couldn't help but be shocked. This guy is actually unafraid of my demonic fire. How is this possible? The demonic fire I spat out is my natal demonic fire. The natal demonic fire can burn everything in the world. However, the giant spirit demon's natal demonic fire couldn't do anything to Jiu Fei. Rumble! At this moment, the sound of wind and thunder came from the demonic fire. A fist broke through the layers of demonic fire and fiercely smashed onto the giant spirit demon's face. The moment the fist hit the giant spirit demon, his face collapsed. His facial features were all squeezed together. In the next moment, the giant spirit demon's huge body was sent flying and smashed towards the outside of the absolute domain. What? All the cultivators watching the battle outside the absolute domain were shocked. They hurriedly retreated far away. The giant spirit demon's body was incomparably huge. If he were to directly smash out of the absolute domain, a large area outside would be directly smashed by his body. Just as the cultivators outside the absolute domain fled in all directions, the old man waved the walking stick in his hand. The giant spirit demon's body was immediately fixed in the void by a powerful force. Die. Without any hesitation, Jiu Fei took a step forward and instantly caught up to the giant spirit demon. He then smashed another fist. This time, it smashed onto the giant spirit demon's forehead. Catcher. The sound of bones shattering was heard. Cracks immediately appeared on the giant spirit demon's head. Jiu Fei's punch had almost caused his head to explode. After receiving this blow, the giant spirit demon, who was fixed in the void by the old man, directly smashed towards the old man. The giant spirit demon's body was many times larger than an ordinary mountain. To the giant spirit demon, the old man was just like an ant. If he was hit by the giant spirit demon, even a quasi-supremacy would be severely injured. Roar. The old man let out a deep roar. In the next moment, an even more powerful force erupted from the old man's body. The giant spirit demon's falling body was once again fixed in the void. At the same time, the old man directly rushed out from below the giant spirit demon. Boom. The moment the old man rushed out, the giant spirit demon's body finally smashed down from the sky. The earth shook and the mountain collapsed. A mountain range was directly destroyed. Kill. Jiu Fei let out a furious roar and directly rushed out of the death domain. He extended his right hand and pointed out with a finger. An extremely sharp extinction sword light immediately shot out from his finger and pierced the giant spirit demon's forehead, who had yet to get up from the ground. At such a close distance, the giant spirit demon couldn't dodge at all. Jiu Fei's extinction sword light instantly pierced through the giant spirit demon's forehead, leaving 2 bloody holes on his head. The giant spirit demon, who had just gotten up, fell down again. I still can't kill him this time, said Jiu Fei. He was very confident in the sky-punishing sword light that he had cultivated. If the giant spirit demon was hit by his sword, his soul would probably be destroyed. However, in the next moment, the giant spirit demon, who had just fallen down, stood up again. Countless demonic auras circled around his huge body. Roar. The giant spirit demon roared angrily at the sky. The sound waves spread out and the whole world shook along with his roar. Some cultivators with weaker cultivation in the distance even fainted from the sound waves. At this moment, the old man had already retreated. He didn't want to fight with the giant spirit demon. Once he got entangled with the giant spirit demon, it would definitely not be a good thing. What are you roaring for? Jiu Fei said as he flipped his right hand. An ancient cauldron immediately appeared in his hand. An aura that seemed to come from the chaotic primitive world spread out from the ancient cauldron. Collect. Jiu Fei directly patted the bottom of the cauldron. A wave of chaotic primordial force immediately surged out from the ancient cauldron and instantly enveloped the giant spirit demon. What? The giant spirit demon felt his body tense up. He immediately flew towards the ancient cauldron in his opponent's hand, which surprised him. Boom. A ball of demonic light burst out from the giant spirit demon's body. An extremely terrifying demonic power burst out. The whole world darkened as if night had arrived. Roar. The giant spirit demon roared and directly punched forward. The violent fist energy blocked the devouring power that surged out from the ancient cauldron. Jiu Fei was very surprised. This giant spirit demon could actually block the devouring power of the mountain and river cauldron. This was unbelievable. It should be known that the mountain and river cauldron was an extreme Dao tool. It was not something that ordinary Dao tools could compare with. The world inside the mountain and river cauldron was simply like a perfect world. No matter how many things there were, they could be stored inside. However, at this moment, the mountain and river cauldron actually found it difficult to store the giant spirit demon inside. Even Kang Q and the others were shocked when they saw this. Go to hell! Jiu Fei roared and directly smashed the ancient cauldron in his hand at the giant spirit demon. Bang! The ancient cauldron smashed onto the giant spirit demon's chest. Chapter 34:27. Jiu Fei threw out the mountain and river cauldron in his hand and the giant spirit demon was sent flying. In the next moment, he took a step forward and caught up with the giant spirit demon in an instant. Then, he stomped down on the giant spirit demon below. Bang! The giant spirit demon was immediately stomped down from the sky. Boom! The earth shook as the giant spirit demon landed heavily on the ground. A mountain ridge instantly turned into dust and was directly smashed into pieces. The whole area shook. The giant spirit demon was too big, like a giant that could split the sky. The mountain ridge on the ground was not even as tall as his heel. Even a strand of his hair was as big as a mountain. The experts outside the absolute domain were extremely shocked. The giant spirit demon was actually beaten out of the tie-in absolute domain. This scene was too shocking. The giant spirit demon in the tie-in absolute domain was a legend to countless cultivators in the east continent of the ancestral god realm. However, the legendary creature had actually appeared, which shocked the cultivators of the east continent. Roar! The giant spirit demon struggled to get up from the ground. However, at this moment, an ancient cauldron fell from the sky and smashed hard on his huge head. With a muffled sound, the giant spirit demon was knocked out by the ancient cauldron and fell to the ground, motionless. Seeing this scene, everyone was astonished, especially the cultivators outside the absolute domain. The legendary giant spirit demon was extremely powerful and was comparable to an extreme supreme master. However, today, they actually saw someone knock out the giant spirit demon with their own eyes. In fact, it was very difficult for a powerful creature like the giant spirit demon to be knocked out. However, it was a pity that the creature was hit by the mountain and river cauldron. The consequences of being hit by the mountain and river cauldron were very serious. If it was an ordinary creature, its body and soul would have been destroyed. However, the giant spirit demon only fainted. Gu Fei did not hesitate. He directly activated the mountain and river cauldron and stored the giant spirit demon into the world inside the mountain and river cauldron. What is that? In the world inside the mountain and river cauldron, the earth spirit ancestor, who was imprisoned here, could not help but be shocked when he saw a huge humanoid creature appear in the void of this world. Even the earth spirit progenitor's heart palpitated at the powerful aura emanating from that creature. Where did Gu Fei catch such a creature? The earth spirit ancestor was shocked. He didn't know about the existence of the giant spirit demon because before he was captured by Gu Fei, he had been sleeping in the earth spirit clan's ancestral land. It was only in the past 10 years that the earth spirit ancestor had woken up from his slumber. In the past 1 or 2 years, he had begun to move about in the outside world. The giant spirit demon had been imprisoned in this world. Just like the earth spirit ancestor, he had become Gu Fei's prisoner. This was something that no one had expected. Gu Fei did not intend to kill the giant spirit demon. It would be a pity to kill such a powerful existence just like that. After putting away the giant spirit demon, Gu Fei no longer maintained the state of the heaven and earth manifestation. His huge figure dissipated and disappeared into the void. In the blink of an eye, Gu Fei's body returned to its normal state. "Fellow Daoist, you're really something." At that moment, an old voice was heard from the side. "You are." Gu Fei turned around and looked in the direction of the voice. He saw that the person who had spoken was the old man who had blocked the giant spirit demon just now. Although the old man looked like he had 1 foot in the grave, Gu Fei did not dare to underestimate the old man. In the world of cultivation, one's appearance did not mean anything. Some people liked to look young, so they would keep their youthful looks. However, true experts would not care too much about their appearance. Gu Fei sensed an aura from the old man that moved him. "East Pole Elder." The old man looked at Gu Fei calmly and said, "East Pole Elder?" Gu Fei frowned. This was the first time he had heard of this name. Although he was calm, the others were not as calm. When they heard that the old man called himself East Pole Elder, countless cultivators present were shocked to the extreme. "What? He's the legendary East Pole Elder?" Someone exclaimed in surprise. The East Pole Elder was a living fossil in the east continent of the ancestral god realm. In today's world, there were not many existences that could compare to this old man. "You must be that Gu Fei who broke into the Golden Crow clan's ancestral land, right?" The Eastern Pole old man said as he looked at Gu Fei. His expression was very calm. At his level of cultivation, there were very few things in the world that could move him. That's right. Ji Fei looked at the East Pole elder opposite him and nodded. The younger generation will surpass the older. The East Pole elder sighed. The Golden Crow clan's ancestral land was not easy to break into. The East Pole elder knew that even with his cultivation and combat strength, it would be difficult for him to do so. This was the reason why the East Pole elder thought so highly of Ji Fei. Whoosh! Just when Ji Fei was about to speak, a gust of chilly wind suddenly swept out from the Tai-Yin desolate domain. Sand and stones flew everywhere outside the domain, and the sun and moon dimmed. Along with the chilly wind was a bone-piercing chill. Wherever the chilly wind passed, the world and the void seemed to be frozen. Seeing this, Ji Fei had no time to speak. He hurriedly soared into the sky, and the chilly wind whistled past his feet. What's going on? While Ji Fei was shocked, he did not forget to look at Kang Qiu and the others. He saw that these guys had already retreated far away, and the chilly wind that swept out from the Tai-Yin desolate domain was wreaking havoc outside the domain. The cultivators outside the domain all fled far away in fear. However, there were still some unlucky people who were enveloped by the chilly wind. Then, they became ice sculptures and fell from the sky. When they hit the ground, they instantly shattered into thousands of pieces. Seeing this, the other cultivators were all dumbfounded. The chilly wind raged, and only Ji Fei and the East Pole elder could ignore the chilly wind that blew out from the Tai-Yin desolate domain. A mass of chaotic divine light emerged from Ji Fei's body, and it blocked countless stones that were smashing towards him. However, he could not completely block the chilly aura. Roar! At the same time, a roar came from the depths of the domain. A violent and chilly aura spread out from the Tai-Yin desolate domain, and the whole world seemed to be frozen. Kang Qiu and the others retreated far away again. Could it be, at this moment, a cold light flashed in the depths of the East Pole elder's turbid eyes. He seemed to have thought of something, and he looked very surprised. Damn it! Ji Fei managed to escape this calamity. At this moment, a figure stood on a mountain that was thousands of miles away from the outside of the Tai-Yin desolate domain. It was a figure that was covered in golden flames. The experts of the Golden Crow clan were very unwilling to give up. They had lured a horrible existence here, but the battle was over, and the giant spirit demon had been taken away by Ji Fei. At this moment, on the top of a mountain that was hundreds of miles away from the outside, a mass of black fog was floating, and a figure could be vaguely seen in the black fog. We've failed. Let's retreat. High up in the sky, among the senior members of the Golden Crow clan who were hidden in the clouds, someone said. Let's wait and see. A voice was heard, and then no one in the clouds said anything. Roar. With a roar, the mass of black fog floating above the mountain suddenly moved. It directly rushed in the direction of Ji Fei and approached him in an instant. At this moment, Ji Fei and the others sensed an extremely cold aura from the Tai-Yin desolate domain, and a powerful creature appeared in the domain. Ji Fei and the creature sensed the existence of the creature in an instant. Apparition King? The East Pole elder naturally sensed the existence of the creature, and his expression became serious. He knew very well how powerful and terrifying the Apparition King was. What Apparition King? Hearing that, Ji Fei couldn't help being shocked. It was already difficult to deal with ordinary apparition spirits, and now the Apparition King was here, which was even more difficult to deal with. All of you wait outside. I'll go and meet that Apparition King. After saying that, Ji Fei took a step and disappeared in the void. When he reappeared, he was already in the Tai-Yin desolate domain. Swoosh! Just as Ji Fei's figure appeared in the void, a black fog immediately pierced towards Ji Fei like a sharp arrow. Ji Fei used the desolation steps and displayed his extremely fast body movement. He dodged the black fog in an instant, and stretched out his right hand. 5 beams of divine light immediately rushed out from his 5 fingers. 5 beams of chaotic divine light rushed out from the 5 fingers of Ji Fei's right hand and turned into 5 sword-like sword lights. They flew towards the Apparition King who was hiding in the black fog. The Apparition King let out a strange cry, and a powerful cold aura immediately erupted from its body. The next moment, the black fog that erupted from its body shrouded the surrounding void. The 5 sword lights directly broke through the layers of black fog. Just as they were about to pierce through the apparition king, the void around the apparition suddenly collapsed. The 5 sword lights that Jiu Fei shot rushed into the broken void and disappeared without a trace. This is interesting. Seeing that the apparition king actually used such a method to break his 5 sword lights, Jiu Fei could not help but be a little surprised. The apparition king's strength was beyond doubt. Kill. Jiu Fei did not want to waste time with this creature. He directly transformed into a bright sword light and pierced towards the apparition king. The extremely powerful sword chi fluctuated mightily, and even the clouds in the sky were dispersed. Swoosh. The extremely fast sword light actually pierced through the apparition king in an instant. Even the powerful apparition king could not dodge it. Roar. The apparition king roared, and its figure gradually became faint and illusory. Finally, it completely dissipated in the void. The apparition king was killed by Jiu Fei just like that. How is this possible? Chapter 34:28. Jiu Fei turned into a destructive swordlight and killed the Dark Soul King with a single slash. Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe their eyes. Especially those from the Golden Crow clan who led the Dark Soul King here. Their mouths were wide open and they were speechless. The Dark Soul King died just like that. The old ancestor of the Golden Crow clan muttered to himself on a distant mountain ridge. His voice was trembling. The combat strength displayed by Jiu Fei was too frightening. With this person supporting Kang Qiu, how could the Golden Crow clan fight against Kang Qiu and take back their ancestral land in the eastern continent? The great ancestor of the Golden Crow clan was unwilling to accept this. They had paid a great price to lure the Dark Soul King out, but this was the result. The Dark Soul King was killed and both his body and soul were destroyed. However, 9 drops of black blood were left behind. They were the size of a thumb and they floated in the void. Each drop of black blood emitted a terrifying dark light. Outside the dark light was a black mist. A terrifying aura of death was exuding from the 9 drops of black blood. Everyone's eyes lit up when they saw the 9 drops of black blood, especially Yu Qiong. His eyes lit up and he wanted to rush forward and collect the 9 drops of black blood. 9 drops of the Dark Soul King's real blood? The Eastern Pole old man was also surprised when he saw the 9 drops of black blood. The Dark Soul King was killed by Jiu Fei and both his body and soul were destroyed. However, 9 drops of real blood were left behind. This was something that no one had expected. Everyone was afraid of Jiu Fei and did not dare to make a move. Otherwise, the surrounding experts would have already started fighting. One should know that ordinary blood of the Dark Soul King was already extremely rare and precious, let alone the real blood of the Dark Soul. Jiu Fei also sensed the strong aura of death coming from the 9 drops of black blood floating in the void. The essence of death was extremely precious to the undead. However, these 9 drops of black blood were nothing to Jiu Fei. He was not an undead. Of course, Jiu Fei thought of the undead army that he had been nurturing. The 3 undead emperors were extremely powerful, but they were rarely put to use. At that moment, the 3 undying emperors had gone through the baptism of the immortal transformation lake and embarked on the path of defying the heavens and changing their fates. They wanted to reverse life and death, reform their bodies of flesh and blood, and become living beings with flesh and blood. Master, can you bestow these 9 drops of true blood to this subordinate? At this time, Yu Qiong walked towards Jiu Fei. Jiu Fei was a little surprised as he looked at Yu Qiong. He didn't know why Yu Qiong wanted the 9 drops of black blood. However, he was a little displeased when he saw the greed in Yu Qiong's eyes. Take it if you want, Jiu Fei said after thinking for a while. Thank you, Master. Yu Qiong was overjoyed and quickly took out a jade bottle. It was a refined jade bottle with vague Dao runes on it. The surrounding cultivators were extremely envious when they saw Yu Qiong taking the 9 drops of Nether Soul King's true blood floating in the void. One should know that a drop of Nether Soul King's true blood was worth an astronomical price in the East continent. Soon, the 9 drops of Nether Soul King's true blood were carefully taken away by Yu Qiong. At that moment, the demon god and Kang Qiu looked at Yu Qiong differently, which made Yu Qiong feel uneasy. Of course, he knew that the demon god and Kang Q would not dare to do anything to him, but it was hard to say for the others. The surrounding cultivators stared at Yu Qiong like hungry wolves. If it wasn't for Ji Yu Fei standing beside him, Yu Qiong would have been torn to pieces by those cultivators. Since you're here, there's no need to leave. At this moment, Ji Yu Fei suddenly sneered. In the next moment, his figure instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already in the sky above a mountain 1,000 miles away. What? The crowd could not help but be shocked upon seeing that. In the next moment, a furious roar rang out from the top of the mountain. A dazzling ball of divine light suddenly appeared at the top of the mountain, as if a divine sun had appeared in the world. An extremely powerful fire elemental power erupted. Everyone was shocked. At the top of the mountain, the shadow of a three-legged bird could be vaguely seen in the blinding divine light, emitting an endless fiery light. Golden Crow, outside the tie-in domain, experts exclaimed. However, in the next moment, a giant hand descended from the sky and directly grabbed the golden crow that had soared into the sky from the top of the mountain. It was an extremely shocking scene. The golden crow that was grabbed by the giant hand exploded and turned into a ball of fiery light before dissipating into the void. The giant hand also dissipated. An extremely powerful golden crow had died just like that. At that moment, 3 golden fiery lights rushed out from around the mountain. The other experts of the Golden Crow clan wanted to escape, but 3 sword lights appeared in the void and directly caught up with the 3 escaping experts of the Golden Crow clan. Without any suspense, the 3 sword lights flashed by and 3 balls of bloody light immediately appeared in the sky. The 3 experts of the Golden Crow clan were directly killed, their bodies and souls destroyed. Seeing that, everyone was stunned. Ji Yu Fei was ruthless. In just a short time, 4 experts of the Golden Crow clan had died in his hands. Continue. Ji Yu Fei transmitted his voice to the crowd, and then directly went to the nest of the Golden Crow clan in the tie-in domain. When he killed them, he had already read the memories of their primordial spirits through the god's stealing secret skill. Kang Q and the others hurriedly chased after Ji Yu Fei and soon disappeared from everyone's sight. No one knew where they had gone. The East Pole Old Man also wanted to enter the tie-in domain, but he stopped after taking a step. He did not want to take the risk of entering the tie-in domain. The dangers in the tie-in domain were really hard to guard against. Even an expert like the East Pole Old Man, who had lived for countless years, could very likely die once he triggered the traps in the tie-in domain. Rumble. Just as Ji Yu Fei passed by a black mountain ridge, a cloud of black qi immediately rushed out of the mountain ridge and shrouded Ji Yu Fei. Ji Yu Fei sneered and waved his sleeve. The ball of black qi that enveloped him immediately dissipated. Swish. At the same time, a dark light directly pierced out from the black qi and instantly arrived before Ji Yu Fei. It wanted to penetrate the center of his eyebrows and destroy his primordial spirit. However, just when the dark light was about to pierce Ji Yu Fei, the space around Ji Yu Fei suddenly distorted. The dark light immediately seemed to pass through a layer of transparent water and instantly disappeared. At this moment, Ji Yu Fei extended his right hand and directly slapped the creature that was hidden in the black qi. The violent palm force dispersed the black qi around the creature. The creature was a poisonous insect that looked like a scorpion. It was the size of a hill and had thick, shiny black scales on its body. The thing that stabbed towards Ji Yu Fei was a barb on the creature's tail. It was the tail of a scorpion. What's going on? At this moment, Kang Q and the others had already caught up. When they saw the creature that Ji Yu Fei was fighting, they were all shocked. A demon black-armored scorpion? Kang Q felt a headache when he saw the scorpion that was even larger than a hill and different from regular scorpions. He had stayed in the chaotic demon world for a period of time, so he naturally recognized many demons. The demon black-armored scorpion was a common demonic creature in the chaotic demon world. It was impossible for such a creature to be so powerful that it could actually fight against Ji Yu Fei. Swish. At this moment, the demon black-armored scorpion's tail moved again. The barb at the tip of the tail shone with a chilling dark light, and a spot of cold light quickly flashed through the air. Ji Yu Fei tilted his head, and the spot of cold light immediately brushed past the hair on his forehead. If he was half a step slower, the scorpion's venomous hook would have pierced his forehead. "How dare you!" Jiyu Fei directly extended his right hand and grabbed the scorpion's tail. Then, he spun the demon black-armored scorpion around and smashed it onto the ground. Boom! The ground shook, and a loud noise was heard. A huge pit immediately appeared on the ground. Jiyu Fei was holding half of the scorpion's tail in his hand. The demon black-armored scorpion's tail was directly torn off by Jiyu Fei. The scorpion's tail in his hand was still dripping with black demon blood. The demon black-armored scorpion was a demon's after all. Demon blood flowed in its body. Kill. At this moment, Yu Qiong rushed over from afar and directly attacked the figure in the pit. However, at this moment, a tail rushed out from the pit and directly slapped Yu Qiong's face, sending him flying. What? Yu Qiong could not believe his luck. The demon black-armored scorpion was crippled by Jiyu Fei, and even its tail was torn off by Jiyu Fei, but its combat power was still strong. Being slapped away by the demon black-armored scorpion's tail was definitely a great humiliation for Yu Qiong. "Ha ha," the demon divine lord laughed. He was also happy to see Yu Qiong being slapped away. Rumble. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook. A powerful death energy burst out from the crater on the ground. Cracks spread out in all directions with the crater as the center. Swoosh! Another ray of black light shot out from the crater and pierced towards Jiyu Fei. Jiyu Fei sneered, then stretched out his right hand and pressed down. A violent palm force immediately rushed out from his hand and obliterated the area below. Under his palm, the void was silently collapsing and annihilating, forming a terrifying destructive force which then swept towards the demon black-armored scorpion in the pit. Chapter 34-29. Jiyu Fei was surprised to see the black-armored demon scorpion, one of the most common demons in the chaotic demon realm, in the Taiyin desolate domain. What surprised Jiyu Fei even more was that the black-armored demonic scorpion was so powerful that he couldn't help but be moved. Could it be that there's something in the lunar desolate domain that can change the physique of these demonic creatures and allow them to break through their limits and grow stronger? The method to improve one's cultivation and combat strength was exactly what Jiyu Fei needed at the moment, because he knew that the fire ape that escaped from the ancestral vein of the East Continent might come looking for him. The fire ape was a true extreme path existence. Once it recovered its vitality, it would be invincible in the world. Only the existence in the chaotic demon realm could compete with the fire ape ancestor after it recovered its vitality. Jiyu Fei was very curious about why the black-armored demon scorpion and the devil's vine were so powerful. Of course, he did not forget the purpose of entering the Taiyin desolate domain. He wanted to uproot the Golden Crow clan and obtain the immortal tree. With the immortal tree and the ancestral dragon herb of immortality, Jiyu Fei would have two immortal divine herbs. Of course, the premise was that he could catch the immortal tree that appeared in the Taiyin desolate domain. At that moment, Jiyu Fei blew up the black-armored demon scorpion with a punch. The scene shocked Kang Qiu and the others. However, something even more shocking was happening. The sound of wind came from all directions and the mist that shrouded the void was dispersed. Everyone was stunned by the scene before them. They saw that the space before them was filled with a huge black mass, all of which were huge black demonic butterflies. They could vaguely see skull-like patterns on the black demon butterflies' bodies. They were not ordinary demon butterflies, but ghost-faced demon butterflies. So many, Yu Qiong, who was next to Kang Qiu, could not help but sweat when he saw the countless ghost-faced demon butterflies in front of them. It was abnormal to see so many ghost-faced demon butterflies gathered together. How is this possible? The demon god's eyes lit up like two cold stars shining brightly in the dark void. The demonic butterfly was only a legendary demonic creature. During the Great War of Gods and Devils all those years ago, the ghost-faced demon butterfly had also appeared. However, after the Great War of Gods and Devils, this kind of demonic creature had completely disappeared from the ancestral god realm. No one could have imagined that they would run into such a large group of ghost-faced butterflies right outside the Gold Crow clan's spiritual land. The demonic butterfly was a solitary monster. It would never appear in a group. But now, The demonic butterfly in front of them had shattered everyone's understanding of the demonic butterfly. Woo! At this time, a faintly discernible voice suddenly came from an unknown place. In the next moment, the dense mass of ghost-faced demonic butterflies in front of them began to move. Countless ghost-faced demon butterflies flew towards Jiu Fei and the others, covering the sky and covering the earth. Yu Qiong and the others were shocked when they saw this. There were so many ghost-faced demonic butterflies, and each of them exuded an extremely powerful aura. Even the 3 gargoyle golems were a little nervous. With so many ghost-faced demonic butterflies gathered together, such a force was definitely not to be underestimated. Swoosh! Just when everyone was hesitating whether to take action or not, the demonic butterflies had already made their move. Rays of demonic light rushed out from the demonic butterflies and pierced towards Jiu Fei and the others. Jiu Fei sneered and raised his hand. A large cauldron immediately appeared in his hand. Buzz! The large cauldron let out a buzzing sound, and a circle of transparent ripples immediately spread from the large cauldron. Countless piercing demonic lights immediately exploded in the void. They could not even get close to Jiu Fei and the others. Even the dozens of ghost-faced demonic butterflies that rushed at the front also exploded and turned into clouds of black mist. Both their bodies and souls were destroyed. However, the ghost-faced demonic butterflies did not panic and continued to rush towards Jiu Fei and the others. Are these things controlled by someone? The monster god Venerable looked at the ghost-faced demonic butterflies rushing towards them and said in surprise. Jiu Fei's eyes immediately lit up when he heard that. In the next moment, he used one of the 9 secrets of Immortal Path, Godly Snatching secret technique. Countless divine lights directly rushed out from between his eyebrows and instantly entered the bodies of the ghost-faced demonic butterflies that were rushing towards them. In the next moment, he sensed something strange on the bodies of the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. He sensed a divine thought fluctuation within the bodies of the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. The divine thought fluctuation did not belong to the ghost-faced demonic butterflies at all. As expected, they're controlled by someone. Jiu Fei smiled. He then used the Godly Snatching secret technique and used the power of the Immortal Path secret technique to directly destroy the trace of divine thought in the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. He then replaced that trace of divine thought to control the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. Then, a scene that made Kang Q and the others dumbfounded happened. The countless ghost-faced demonic butterflies that were rushing towards them stopped at the same time. What's happening? Yu Qiong said in shock. Could it be? Kang Q glanced at Jiu Fei. A ball of divine light emerged from the center of Jiu Fei's brows, and a powerful divine will rippled from the ball of divine light. As expected, Kang Q knew what was happening. At that moment, the countless ghost-faced demonic butterflies suddenly retreated to the sides and made a path. Master, Yu Qiong stared at the scene in disbelief. Did their master control these demonic creatures? Jiu Fei's methods had always been brilliant, and this time was no exception. He used the Godly Snatching secret technique to control the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. In the next moment, with a thought, the ghost-faced demonic butterflies turned around and charged towards the spiritual land where the Golden Crow tribe was located. The area ahead was densely packed with ghost-faced demonic butterflies. Soon, a series of dull collisions could be heard. Jiu Fei and the others quickly rushed forward to see what was going on. A ball of divine light appeared in front of them, completely enveloping a valley. The ghost-faced demonic butterflies collided with the ball of divine light and were directly sent flying. Jiu Fei, Kang Q, you're so ruthless. Are you trying to kill us all? An old voice came from the depths of the valley that was enveloped by the divine light. The valley was filled with lingering spiritual energy, with flowers blooming like a brocade and a spiritual spring adorning it. The spiritual water from the spiritual spring converged into a small stream on the ground and flowed in the valley. There were pavilions, terraces, small bridges, and flowing water in the valley. Lingering spiritual energy and celestial birds could be seen everywhere. It was really a paradise. I didn't expect there to be such a spiritual land in the Taiyin Desolate Domain. It's really unbelievable. Everyone was shocked to see the scene in the valley in front of them. The spiritual energy in the valley was incomparably abundant. Cultivating in it would naturally be twice the result with half the effort. At that moment, a series of collisions could be heard. The countless ghost-faced demonic butterflies under the control of Jiyu Fei were constantly rushing forward and directly colliding with the divine light. Rumble, at that moment, the protective formation of the valley was shaking. Above the divine light that enveloped the valley, countless divine inscriptions could be vaguely seen and intertwined into a golden Taoist diagram. The essence of heaven and earth from all directions immediately gathered towards the protective formation of the valley. So what if you're trying to kill us all? In the past, didn't your Golden Crow tribe also try to kill my chaotic Golden Rock tribe? Kang Q said disapprovingly. His face was extremely cold and his eyes flickered. A powerful aura immediately spread from his body. Among the people present, except for Jiyu Fei, everyone could feel the strong pressure from Kang Q. "Page, you can kill your way in if you can," the old voice sounded again. At that moment, the ground outside the valley was already filled with the corpses of the ghost-faced demonic butterflies. The ghost-faced demonic butterflies under the control of Jiyu Fei were still colliding with the protective formation of the valley. Therefore, the ghost-faced demonic butterflies were unlucky. "Since you've said so, wouldn't I be letting myself down if I don't kill my way in?" Jiyu Fei suddenly spoke. Then, a powerful aura erupted from his body, causing the space around him to become unstable. Pitch-black cracks began to appear in the space around him. At that moment, the last ghost-faced demonic butterfly collided with the layer of divine light protecting the valley. At the same time, the mountain and river cauldron in Jiyu Fei's hand flew up and became as huge as a mountain. It then fiercely smashed towards the layer of divine light protecting the valley. Seeing this, Kang Q and the others hurriedly retreated. The strength of this power was definitely enough to shake a true supreme being. Boom! With a loud bang, the mountain and river cauldron that had become as huge as a mountain directly smashed onto the layer of divine light above the valley. Heaven and earth shook and the protective formation of the valley was directly shaken. Cracks appeared on the layer of divine light and the Tao diagrams on the divine light disappeared as well. It can actually withstand an attack from the mountain and river cauldron? Everyone was shocked when they saw this. They knew very well how powerful Jiyu Fei's mountain and river cauldron was. It was a supreme Tao weapon that could suppress a world. The protective formation of the Golden Crow clan was indeed very good. However, everyone knew that Jiyu Fei definitely had the ability to break this formation. At that moment, the ancient cauldron flew up and smashed downwards again. There was no suspense. After a loud bang, more cracks appeared on the protective formation of the Golden Crow clan. Just as Jiyu Fei made his move, waves of demonic aura came from the surrounding area. Extremely powerful figures faintly appeared from the demonic aura, emitting a terrifying aura of death. What's going on? Chapter 3430. The Golden Crow clan hid in a valley in the Taiyin Desperation domain and did not come out. They only activated the Guardian formation to keep Jiyu Fei and the others outside. However, it was not difficult for Jiyu Fei to break the Guardian formation since he had the mountain and river cauldron and other extreme divine weapons. However, just as Jiyu Fei was about to break the Guardian formation, many powerful demonic creatures appeared around him. Roar! A devil ape rushed out of the devil mist and pounced directly at Jiyu Fei. It was extremely ferocious and its blood-red eyes were filled with madness. What kind of person was Jiyu Fei? He could tell at a glance that the devil ape had been controlled by someone and had fallen into madness. It would definitely be a disaster for an ordinary cultivator to be targeted by such a devil ape. Your relatives have arrived. Why don't you go and have a reunion? At this moment, the dragon-head demon, who was standing beside the Chaos Devil Ape, teased. Me. The Chaos Devil Ape was unhappy. He did not have such a relative. The Chaos Devil Ape clan was fundamentally different from other devil apes. The devil ape that was being controlled did not have the bloodline of the Chaos Devil Ape. In an instant, the devil ape was about to rush in front of Jiyu Fei. At this moment, a fist came from the side and directly hit the side of the devil ape's face, sending it flying. Everyone looked at the guy who attacked in shock. The guy who attacked was the Chaos Devil Ape. The Devil Ape roared and stood up from the ground. Then, it stared at the Chaos Devil Ape. The Devil Ape had fallen into a state of madness. Even though it was staring at the Chaos Devil Ape, it was not afraid. It should be said that it did not know fear. Boom! In the next moment, the Devil Ape stomped on the ground with both feet, and the hard ground immediately cracked open. The Devil Ape transformed into an afterimage and instantly pounced in front of the Chaos Devil Ape. This Devil Ape was much bigger than the Chaos Devil Ape. Its body was like a small mountain and there were devil flames circling around it. A violent aura spread out, causing the surrounding void to tremble. However, the Chaos Demon Ape only threw a punch. Bam! With a loud bang, it smashed into the demonic ape's face, causing it to cave in. After that, the Devil Ape collapsed to the ground like a pile of mud. It had actually been knocked out by a single punch from the Chaos Devil Ape. "Old ape, are you being merciful?" The demon spider of extreme yin said. With the cultivation and battle prowess of the Chaos Demon Ape, it would be as easy as blowing off dust if it wanted to kill this Chaos Demon Ape. It could be done in an instant. It was obvious that the Chaos Demon Ape did not want to kill this Demon Ape. "Don't meddle in my affairs." The Chaos Demon Ape glanced at the Great Yin Demon Spider and said indifferently. The Chaos Demon Ape and the Great Yin Demon Spider, as well as the Dragon Head Demon, none of them were willing to submit to anyone. They only listened to Jiu Fei. The Extreme Yin Demon Spider did not say anything else because the surrounding monsters had started to attack. They were already surrounded by countless monsters. Jiu Fei was naturally not afraid of these monsters. These monsters were merely being controlled by someone and had no control over their bodies. If he wanted to kill these monsters, it would be a piece of cake. Of course, there was no need for Jiu Fei to do it himself. At this moment, Jiu Fei had already put away the mountain and river cauldron and stopped attacking the defensive formation of the Golden Crow tribe. They were surrounded by a demonic fog. In front of them, the demonic fog churned, and demonic creatures walked out of it. Or rather, they crawled out, because the demonic creatures that came out of the demonic fog were enormous demonic spiders. They were demonic spiders with black and scarlet demonic runes on their bodies. They were the Black Crimson Demon Spiders. These monsters were rare even in the Chaos Demon realm. However, there was a large group of them here. "Haha, your relative is here too." The Chaos Demon Ape burst into laughter when he saw this. This time, it was the Great Yin Demon Spider's turn to be annoyed. Jiu Fei did not say anything when he saw this. It was good to have competition. Even if these guys were to fight, he would not stop them. Boom! At this moment, the dozen Black Crimson Demon Spiders that crawled out of the demonic fog flew into the air. Then, with a loud explosion, the dozen Black Crimson Demon Spiders exploded in the air and turned into a dozen clouds of blood mist. Everyone was taken aback. They did not expect the Great Yin Demon Spider to be so ruthless and kill the dozen Black Crimson Demon Spiders in one move. At this moment, the indistinct demonic sound lingered in everyone's ears. This demonic sound was pervasive and unknowingly affected everyone's state of mind. The most powerful thing about this demonic sound was that it could create inner demons in people. The three gargoyles were devils among devils. Heart devils naturally couldn't affect them because they were devils themselves and possessed all the negative energy. However, it was different for the people from the ancestral god realm. At this moment, Peng Shi, who was beside Kang Qiu, was starting to get impatient. "Who is it?" Jiu Fei released his divine consciousness in an attempt to sense where the demonic sound was coming from. However, he was surprised because even he could not sense where the demonic sound was coming from. How is this possible? Jiu Fei could not help but be moved. "Can you sense where the demonic sound is coming from?" Jiu Fei transmitted his voice to Kang Qiu. "I can't sense it." Kang Qiu replied. "It can't be that legendary demonic artifact, right?" The Dragon Head Demon suddenly muttered to himself. The Dragon Head Demon had a great background and knew many secrets of the primal chaos demonic world. In a distant era, an unconventional demon lord had appeared in the primal chaos demonic world. He was called the Sound Demon. The sound demon had become obsessed with music and cultivated the 8 heavenly demon chords with earth-shattering might. Once the 8 chords were released, he was nearly invincible in the primal chaos demonic world. The demonic weapon refined by the sound demon was also very famous. It was called the 8 notes demonic flute. The 8 notes demonic flute had the power to control groups of demons. This was because one of the 8 notes of the heavenly demon, the imperial demonic sound art, could confuse one's mind and cause powerful creatures to fall into a frenzy. What's going on? Jiu Fei looked at the dragon head demon. It's probably the 8 notes demonic flute. Someone is using the imperial demonic sound art. Dragon head demon voiced out his suspicions. To be able to control so many monsters in a berserk state, perhaps only the 8 notes magic flute's imperial demon sound art had such power. 8 notes demonic flute. Could it be an extreme demonic weapon? Jiu Fei furrowed his brows. Yes. The dragon head demon replied with a nod. At that moment, the chaos demon ape and the great yin demon spider were shocked by the dragon head demon's words. The 8 notes demonic flute had appeared. This was no small matter. It should be known that once the imperial demonic sound art had appeared in the past, groups of demons would bow before it. Whoever could obtain the 8 notes demonic flute would be able to control the fate of countless demons. Chapter 34-31. The demonic sound lingered and moved one's soul. Even Yu Qiong, who was a half-step great ancestor, had to use his cultivation to resist the demonic sound. If his cultivation was slightly weaker, he might not be able to resist the erosion of the demonic sound and be controlled by it. At this moment, the supreme yin demon spider's powerful attack did not deter the countless demonic creatures in the surroundings. Thunderous footsteps rang out. Countless demonic creatures rushed out of the demonic fog. The earth was shaking, the demonic chi was vast and mighty, and the demonic creatures' roars were earth-shattering. This was truly a demonic dance. Not only were there countless demonic creatures rushing towards Jiu Fei's group from the ground, but there were also demonic creatures descending from the sky, stretching out their sharp demonic claws towards them. Kang Qiu stretched out his right hand and directly slapped the sky. Boom! The void shook, and a powerful divine Tao erupted. The demonic creatures that swooped down from the sky were immediately blasted away, and then exploded in the void. A burst of demon blood sprinkled down from the sky. The dragon head demon raised his hand and made a grabbing motion. The spilled demon blood immediately gathered in his hand and was caught by him. The dragon head demon used his mystic technique and directly devoured the demonic essence contained in the demonic blood. Hihi, although the mosquito's leg is small, it's still meat. Don't waste it. The dragon head demon laughed in a low voice. He let go of the demonic blood in his right hand, and some black dust sprinkled from between his fingers. At this moment, when the demonic creatures that rushed over from the ground were only a few dozen feet away from Jiu Fei's group, all of them seemed to have hit an invisible wall, and their heads were instantly smashed into pieces. An invisible force enveloped Jiu Fei's group. Soon, outside the invisible force field, there were piles of demonic creatures' corpses. Although the force field blocked the impact of the demonic creatures, the stench of the demonic blood that flowed out of the demonic creatures made everyone frown. At this moment, the Chaos Demon Ape walked out and used the Chaos Demon Ape technique. A heaven-devouring force immediately surged out from his body, and then the surrounding demonic essence gathered towards him. Rays of black light shot out from the corpses of the demonic creatures outside towards the Chaos Demon Ape and were devoured by the Chaos Demon Ape. The corpses of the demonic creatures outside the force field rapidly shriveled up and turned into dried corpses without any spiritual essence. Even the essence contained in the demon blood that flowed onto the ground was forcefully devoured by the Chaos Demon Ape. The smell of blood in the air was immediately reduced. Beams of demonic light formed by demonic essence rushed towards the Chaos Demon Ape. This was a powerful demonic essence. As the Chaos Demon Ape continued to devour the demonic essence, there were actually small snake-like blood-colored light swimming under its stone-like skin. Seeing that the Chaos Demon Ape had made its move, the Supreme Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon Head Demon were unwilling to fall behind. They also circulated their devil arts and devoured the Devil Dao Essence Chi in the surroundings. When the three gargoyles made their move, even if the monsters didn't collide with the transparent force field, their essence energy was still frantically leaking out. Their flesh and blood rapidly withered, and before they could even reach the transparent force field, they fell to the ground and died. Seeing this scene, Yu Qiong couldn't help but sweat profusely. Fortunately, the three demons didn't attack him. Otherwise, he would probably be finished. Peng Shi, who was standing beside Kang Qiu, was also inexplicably shocked. Among the people present, only Ji Yufei and Kang Qiu's expressions were normal. They didn't reveal any emotions, giving off a cold feeling. At this time, the indistinct demonic sound in the air was still lingering in everyone's ears. Powerful demonic creatures kept rushing out of the demonic fog. But in the end, these demonic creatures all turned into corpses. Roar. At this time, the Chaos Demon Ape suddenly roared and directly rushed out into the demonic fog. He wanted to take the initiative to attack and find the person who was secretly controlling these demonic creatures. In fact, he wanted to snatch the legendary magic flute of 8 notes. The person in the dark was obviously not strong enough to unleash the true power of the magic flute of 8 notes. Otherwise, even the Chaos Demon Ape and the others would be affected. Yu Qiong and the others wouldn't be able to resist the true power of the magic flute of 8 notes. When the Great Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon Head Demon saw this, they naturally guessed the Chaos Demon Ape's intention. Unwilling to fall behind, they also roared and rushed out to attack. Ji Yufei only smiled when he saw this, but he didn't say anything. Sound demon? Kang Qiu seemed to recall something and frowned. He was a super antique who had experienced the war in the past and witnessed the power of the supreme demon ancestor of the primal chaos demon world. Back then, there seemed to be a supreme demon ancestor who was proficient in music among the supreme demon ancestors who had invaded the primal chaos demon world. That supreme demon ancestor had once used a demonic flute to silently annihilate an army of the primal chaos demon world. However, after Kang Qiu had invaded the primal chaos demon world, he had been trapped in the mountain and river diagram until Ji Yufei had released him. He naturally didn't know what had happened after that. The supreme demon ancestor had fallen here, and this place had turned into a dead zone. However, Kang Qiu had never expected that the sound demon's 8 heavenly demon chords would appear here. 8 heavenly demon chords. Ji Yufei was somewhat interested in this kind of cultivation technique that allowed one to enter the path of music. However, he couldn't sense the existence of that fellow in the dark at all. He pondered for a moment before a silhouette walked out from his body and instantly disappeared into thin air without a trace. Kang Qiu's eyebrows couldn't help but twitch when he saw this. As the 3 great stone statue devils took the initiative to attack, the demonic fog that had been blocked by that power started to churn violently and roar in a chaotic manner. From time to time, terrifying demonic lights could be seen piercing through the void and rushing out of the demonic fog. How could those demonic creatures outside be a match for the 3 great stone statue devils? They were slaughtered like melons and vegetables, and their essence was devoured by the 3 great stone statue devils and turned into their power. At this moment, countless cultivators were watching from outside the extreme yin domain. However, they could only see the surging demonic aura in the extreme yin domain and the demonic creatures that were blasted out of the demonic fog from time to time. The cultivators outside the extreme yin domain could hardly see the figures of Ji Yufei and his companions. Even the East Pole Old Man couldn't sense the existence of Ji Yufei and his companions, let alone the other cultivators. The cultivators outside the extreme yin domain were very wary of the extreme yin domain, as the various legends about it seemed to be true. Very few people dared to barge into the extreme yin domain. At this moment, the East Pole Old Man's face turned grave when he saw that more and more demonic fog was surging out of the extreme yin domain. He stared at the demonic fog in the depths of the extreme yin domain and pondered for a moment. Then, he gritted his teeth and took a step forward, walking directly into the extreme yin domain. Chapter 34-32. The East Pole Old Man walked into the Tai-Yin desolate domain, which shocked all the cultivators outside. They did not understand why the East Pole Old Man would take the risk, knowing that the Tai-Yin desolate domain was full of dangers. Heavenly Demon 8 tones? How could it be? As soon as the East Pole Old Man stepped into the tie-in desolate domain, he immediately heard the faint but tempting demonic sound in the void. He was shocked because he was no stranger to this demonic sound. Back then, he had almost died to this demonic sound. No matter how many years had passed, he would never forget what happened that day. The East Pole Old Man recalled a scene that had been sealed for countless years. The war of gods and demons had come to the final stage a long time ago. Both the ancestral god realm and the chaos demon realm had suffered serious damage. Even supreme god ancestors and supreme demon ancestors had died in battle. The forces of the ancestral god realm and the chaos demon realm had experienced a great reshuffle, and many forces that had existed for countless years had disappeared. Many forces had also risen during the war of gods and demons. At the end of the war of gods and demons, the demons of the chaos demon realm and the ancestral god realm had been in a killing frenzy. At that time, the East Pole Old Man had just become a god clan expert. No god clan expert had survived wherever the demonic shadow had passed. The 8 tones had taken away souls, and corpses had been everywhere. The East Pole Old Man still broke out in a cold sweat when he thought of that scene. How could it be? This is the tie-in desolate domain, the place where tie-in ancestor god died. Is it related to the sound demon? The East Pole Old Man was even more shocked. He released an incomparably tyrannical divine will fluctuation. In the next moment, this divine will fluctuation enveloped a part of the world. He wanted to find the person who was secretly using the heavenly demon 8 chords. However, he was shocked to find that he could not sense where the soul-snatching demonic sound came from, even with his current cultivation. Soon, the East Pole Old Man saw a scene that shocked him. Countless demonic creatures rushed out from the depths of the tie-in desolate domain. Terrifying demonic shadows could be vaguely seen in the demonic fog. Roar! A demonic creature faced the sky and roared, causing the entire void to tremble. It was a demonic creature with the shadow of a dragon, but it was definitely not a devil dragon. However, even if it wasn't an expert of the Devil Dragon clan, this demonic creature definitely had the bloodline of the Devil Dragon clan flowing through its veins. Even such a powerful being has been controlled. When the East Pole Old Man arrived nearby, he stopped and looked at the scene in shock. Just as the East Pole Old Man's expression changed, a demonic shadow charged out of the demonic fog. The demonic shadow leaped into the midst of the demonic horde and waved its arms, sending the incomparably ferocious demonic creatures flying before shattering them in the air. The demonic figure opened its mouth and sucked in the blood mist that exploded in the air. Then, a faint layer of bloody light appeared on the demonic figure's body. It was a demon ape, and it was extremely powerful. There was actually chaotic demon chi lingering around its body. This demon ape was one of Gu Fei's 3 subordinates. The East Pole Old Man naturally knew the origins of the Chaos Demon Ape. The Chaos Demon Ape was like a hot knife cutting through butter. It actually managed to disperse a portion of the demonic creatures, and more powerful demonic creatures were killed by the Chaos Demon Ape. In the other 2 directions, there were also earth-shattering sounds of fighting. The Divine Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon Head Demon did not show any mercy. They killed all the experts of the demons who had escaped here, leaving none alive. At this moment, the Chaos Demon Ape had already rushed into the depths of the tie-in desolate domain. Compared to attacking the stronghold of the Golden Crow clan, the Divine Yin Demon Spider and the others were more concerned about the legendary supreme demonic weapon, the 8 Notes demonic flute. Meanwhile, one of Gu Fei's incarnations was also quietly walking in the void. He wanted to see how powerful the so-called 8 Notes of the heavenly demon was. In Gu Fei's opinion, the 8 Notes of the heavenly demon should be an extremely powerful killing technique of sound. It would not be easy to break this invisible killing technique of sound. Swoosh! At this moment, Gu Fei's incarnation directly slashed at a corner of the void with his sword. The extremely powerful sword light instantly rushed up to thousands of meters and flashed across the void. At the same time, a figure fell out of the void and fell to the ground, screaming in pain. This person was holding a demonic flute in his hand. He was about 30 years old and wore black clothes. From time to time, a dazzling light burst out of his eyes. The middle-aged man in black blew the demonic flute in his hand, and the melodious demonic sound immediately rang out, lingering in the void. As soon as the demonic sound came out, Ji Yufei's incarnation immediately shook and almost fell from the sky. What? Ji Yufei's shock was no small matter. The 8 heavenly demon chords truly lived up to its name. Even his clone was almost trapped by it. His clone's primordial spirit was almost hooked by the 8 heavenly demon chords. This was one of the 8 notes of the heavenly demon, the soul-slaying sound art. It was specifically targeted at the primordial spirit. Once this sound art was released, it could destroy a cultivator's primordial spirit and kill them. In the past, the sound demon had used the 8 notes demonic flute to release the soul-slaying sound art. As a result, the 100,000 divine soldiers under the command of an extreme-grade ancestral god had all turned into cold corpses. After the middle-aged man blew the 8 notes demonic flute, faint patterns began to appear on the flute. Ripples that could be seen with the naked eye spread out from the 8 notes demonic flute. Ha ha, so it's here. At this moment, someone cried out in surprise. He directly pounced out of the demonic mist below and reached out to grab the 8 notes demonic flute in the middle-aged man's hand. It was the demon yin spider making a move. At the same time, the dragon head demon also made a move. Powerful fluctuations of power erupted from his body and dispersed the surrounding demonic mist. "You're courting death," the middle-aged man sneered. The sound of the flute changed again, and a vast and ancient aura immediately spread out from his body. In the next moment, sound waves spread out. Both the demon yin spider and the dragon head demon stopped moving. This was exactly what the middle-aged man wanted. He directly punched the demon yin spider's head and sent it flying. On the other side, the dragon head demon wasn't any better. He was swept by the middle-aged man's right leg, which directly hit his waist and sent him flying. Just as the middle-aged man was about to follow up with another attack, a dazzling swordlight descended from the sky and fell directly on his head. The extremely sharp swordlight seemed to tear the sky apart. This was Ji Yufei's clone making a move. Powerful fluctuations of sword qi spread out, and the surrounding temperature dropped rapidly due to the impact of the sword qi. Roar. At the same time, an earth-shattering roar came from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. In the next moment, a powerful and terrifying aura spread out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region, shocking everyone. Chapter 34-33. The might of the 8 demon chords could not be underestimated, as it was an extreme demonic technique created by the extreme path demon ancestor. It was obvious that the mysterious middle-aged man had yet to cultivate this demonic technique to the great accomplishment realm. He hadn't even reached the minor accomplishment realm. Moreover, using the demonic 8 chords seemed to consume a large amount of demonic essence. The mysterious middle-aged man soon revealed a tired expression. Swoosh. At that moment, Ji Yufei's clone made his move. The murderous sword qi of the 9 sky-punishing swords erupted from his body, and 9 swordlights tore through the void like 9 real sky-punishing swords as they slashed at the mysterious middle-aged man. The mysterious middle-aged man was startled, and he hurriedly blew into the magic flute in his hand. A demonic sound drifted out of the flute, and a demonic sound pattern on it lit up. The next moment, the 9 sky-punishing swords unleashed by Ji Yufei's clone seemed to have struck an invisible wall at the same time, and they were unexpectedly blocked. The 8 demon chords truly lives up to its reputation of being both offensive and defensive. Kang Q's voice was heard at that moment. He was the only person present who had participated in the war that had taken place in the distant past. Although he hadn't fought against the Sound Demon Supreme back then, he had heard of his name, so he had some understanding of the might of the 8 demon chords. The sound waves that spread from the 8 demon flute of 8 notes turned into a barrier that enveloped the mysterious middle-aged man. Even the 9 sky-punishing swords couldn't break through this barrier. Interesting. The killing power of sound can actually be used in this way. Upon seeing this, Ji Yufei's clone revealed a look of surprise. He had actually dabbled in the killing technique of sound before. He also knew combat techniques such as the Blue Dragon Roar, the Sky-Shaking Roar, and so on. However, this was the first time he had encountered a demonic technique that used music to enter the path. As expected, all 3,000 great paths could become saints. If one cultivated the killing technique of sound to the extreme, one could also become an invincible extreme path supreme. The achievements of the sound demon supreme had been witnessed by everyone in the distant past. At this moment, the melodious demonic sound suddenly changed. It became sharp and full of killing intent. In the next moment, the power of sound burst out from the magic flute of 8 notes. The 9 rays of light that were blocked by the sound wave shield immediately shattered in the void. At the same time, Gu Fei's clone felt as if it had been struck by an invisible force. The sound of bones breaking rang out from its body as it was sent flying thousands of meters away. Preposterous. When Gu Fei sensed this, he couldn't help but put away his contempt for the 8 celestial demon chords and the demonic flute of 8 notes. Boom. At this moment, a huge hand descended from the sky, slapping towards the mysterious middle-aged man, directly slapping him into the ground. The moment the mysterious middle-aged man was slammed into the ground, 2 powerful demonic shadows broke through the ground at the same time and rushed into the ground. Powerful demonic power surged out from the depths of the earth. The 3 demonic powerhouses fought in the depths of the earth, causing the entire ground to undulate like waves. Compete. At this moment, a sneer rang out in the sky. Then, a demonic shadow swooped down from the sky, broke through the ground, and rushed into the depths of the earth. Gu Fei's clone didn't attack again. After stabilizing his body, he stood quietly in the void and looked down at the constantly undulating ground. However, the demonic creatures still rushed out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. However, there weren't as many of them as before. Even so, the combat strength of these demonic creatures was many times stronger than that of the previous demonic creatures. Bam! 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 Heavy footsteps rang out, causing the ground to shake. A huge figure rushed out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. It was a demonic shadow that was the size of a small mountain, and its whole body was shrouded in demonic aura. A stone demon. Gu Fei's clone discovered that this great demon was made of stone from head to toe, and there were 2 balls of red demonic fire flickering in its eye sockets. Roar. As soon as the stone demon rushed out, it fixed its eyes on Gu Fei's clone in the sky. Then, it soared into the sky and punched at Gu Fei's clone. Do I look like a pushover to you? Gu Fei's clone was very displeased. He directly grasped the air with his right hand, and a sword light immediately emerged from his hand and turned into a sword of light. Swoosh. Gu Fei's clone rushed up and instantly passed by the stone demon. In the next moment, the stone demon froze in the void, and a crack appeared on its forehead. Then, the huge body of the stone demon, which was the size of a small mountain, was split in half and fell from the sky. With just one slash, the stone demon was killed by Gu Fei's clone. After killing the stone demon, Gu Fei's clone did not stay idle. He directly rushed down from the sky and killed his way into the group of demons. For a while, demon blood suddenly appeared, and powerful demons fell one after another. The soil on the ground was stained black by the demon blood, and the stench of blood filled the air, making people want to vomit. Gu Fei's clone moved quickly on the ground, and wherever he passed, there was no one who could resist him. As the sword light flashed, no matter how powerful and ferocious the demons were, they were all killed by his sword. Without any scruples, he directly killed his way into the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. However, the next moment, Gu Fei's clone flew out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region, and with a bang, his whole body exploded into a cloud of blood mist in the void. What? Seeing this scene, Kang Q, the demon divine lord, and the others were really shocked. Even Gu Fei could not help but be shocked, and his face became solemn. How could it be possible that his clone could not even withstand a single blow from the creatures in the Taiyin desolate region? Gu Fei was very confident in this doppelganger of his. This doppelganger had at least 80% of his battle strength. How could it be so easily blown away by other experts? Moreover, what surprised Gu Fei and the others was that there was no strong fluctuation of diabolism power coming from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. Just when they were shocked, a sound of bones colliding came from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. Then, under everyone's incredulous gaze, a figure walked out step by step from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region. That is, When they saw the figure, everyone was shocked again. The figure that walked out from the depths of the Tai-Yin desolate region was actually a skeleton. A seemingly ordinary black skeleton walked towards Ji Yufei and the others. In the skull of this black skeleton, there was only a weak soul fire beating, and it seemed that the soul fire could be extinguished at any time. Ji Yufei could only sense a weak soul fluctuation from the soul fire. Is this the guy who sent my clone flying? When Ji Yufei saw this black skeleton, he did not look down on it at all. It should be known that the more ordinary a cultivator was, the more powerful he was. The reason for that was because some cultivators' cultivation had already reached the state of returning to the natural state. It was simply impossible to see through the cultivators' cultivation bases from their appearances. Obviously, this black skeleton was a demonic powerhouse who had cultivated to the realm of returning to one's natural state. At this moment, the figure of Ji Yufei's clone, which had been blasted into a bloody mist, loomed out of the bloody mist. The bloody mist was surging and emitting a monstrous qi and blood. Rays of divine light intertwined in the bloody mist. 9 Tao patterns were looming, and the bloody mist was condensing rapidly. The flesh of Ji Yufei's clone was rapidly being reconstructed. However, when the flesh of Ji Yufei's clone was being reconstructed, the monstrous qi and blood emitted from it was definitely a fatal temptation for the demons. The demonic creatures that had fallen into a frenzied state immediately soared into the sky and pounced towards the figure shrouded in the blood mist. Vigorous qi and blood were great supplements for demons. If they devoured the qi and blood of Ji Yufei's clone, those demons were likely to transform into more powerful demons. However, how could those demons devour the qi and blood of Ji Yufei's clone? Just when the countless demons were about to pounce on Ji Yufei's clone, the demon god Venerable took action. He directly took out the demon god hammer and killed all the demons that were pouncing on him. The demon god's mighty power dispersed the surrounding demonic mist. The ground was shaking, but the chaos demonic ape and the other experts had yet to come out from the depths of the earth. The demonic tune was still lingering in the void, which made Ji Yufei and the others feel a little incredulous. The power of the magic flute of 8 notes was so powerful that those demons were controlled by the demonic tune and had completely lost their consciousness. They were merely pawns sent to their deaths. At this moment, waves of powerful energy fluctuations came from the valley where the Golden Crow clan was shrouded in demonic aura. The figure of the immortal tree was looming in the valley. Ji Yufei wanted to break the defensive formation of the Golden Crow clan and kill his way into the valley. However, he couldn't do so now because he was targeted by the black skeleton. At the same time, Ji Yufei's clone had also completely recovered. The powerful qi and blood began to converge until it completely disappeared. Preposterous. Ji Yufei's doppelganger stared at the black skeleton in front of him with a gaze as sharp as a sword. It was this skeleton that had slapped him and sent him flying out of the depths of the Tai-Yin desolate domain. It was the most powerful opponent Ji Yufei's clone had ever encountered. One should know that no one could blast his body apart with a single slap. You guys go and break the protective formation of the Golden Crow clan. Ji Yufei said to everyone. Yes. The demon god Venerable and the others quickly accepted the order. Kang Q was also about to take action. The longer one stayed in the Tai-Yin domain, the more one's mind would be eroded by the demonic nature here. He wanted to quickly settle the matter with the Golden Crow clan and leave this place. Chapter 34-34. A black skeleton walked out from the depths of the Tai-Yin desolate domain. It was a humanoid skeleton with 2 sharp horns on its head. It was a demonic skeleton, and it was extremely powerful. With just one palm, it sent Ji Yufei's doppelganger, who had entered the depths of the Tai-Yin desolate domain, flying out. Ji Yufei had no choice but to take action personally. Everyone present, including Kang Q, might not be a match for this skeleton. Moreover, the skeleton had already set its eyes on Ji Yufei. As they stood in confrontation, the skeleton made the first move. The black skeleton silently disappeared into the void without any warning. What? Ji Yufei was shocked. After all, he had cultivated the martial path heavenly eye, but he could not see where the skeleton had gone. It was as if it had instantly merged with the surrounding void. In the next moment, he directly punched with a backhand. Bang! With a muffled sound, his fist collided with another fist. To be precise, it was a bone fist. The mysterious skeleton had unexpectedly appeared behind Jiu Fei without any warning. However, Jiu Fei was a natural fighter with extremely rich combat experience. Especially with his current cultivation, he was extremely sensitive to danger, and was able to react at the first sign of danger. Jiu Fei only felt a powerful force coming from the opponent's bone fist. His sleeves were instantly shattered into pieces. Roar! Jiu Fei roared and exerted force with his right fist. Even so, he was still forced to take a step back by the opponent's punch. How dare you! Jiu Fei was shocked and angry. After all, his martial body had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times. The strength of his martial body was far stronger than other experts of the same level. His body could compete with a quasi-supreme Dao weapon. He was not afraid of a quasi-supreme Dao weapon. Moreover, the strength of his martial body was the source of Jiu Fei's confidence. Warriors were known for their strength, and they were especially good at close combat. Therefore, since ancient times, when other cultivators fought with warriors, they would never dare to let the warriors get close to them. One had to know that in a battle against a martial artist, once a martial artist closed in, it would mean death. But now, this mysterious skeleton actually dared to fight him in close combat. It seemed that he had met a worthy opponent this time. Swoosh! Two silhouettes moved rapidly in the void, engaging in close combat. For a moment, the void was filled with afterimages. The movement techniques of the two great experts were too fast. Boom! Bam! Muffled thunder-like sounds of collision rang out continuously, and a series of pitch-black spatial cracks directly collapsed in the void. Jiu Fei and the mysterious skeleton were locked in a fierce battle. Good heavens, Jiu Fei had no choice but to get serious. His opponent's combat skills did not seem to be any weaker than his own. Just where did this guy come from? How could he have such combat strength? At this time, the most shocked people were Kang Q and Demon God. They had never seen someone who could fight with Jiu Fei in close combat for so long without being killed by Jiu Fei. Kang Q and Demon God also began to attack the Golden Crow clan. 18 formation flags flew up from Kang Q's hand, scattered in the air, and fell from the sky, inserting themselves around the valley where the Golden Crow clan was located. The 18 formation flags seemed to be inserted around the valley in a disorderly manner, but in fact, each formation flag corresponded to a specific position and had a specific direction. Rumble! After the 18 formation flags were arranged, a rumbling sound of wind and thunder came from each formation flag. Then, endless formation patterns rushed out from the formation flags and directly imprinted in the void. Countless formation patterns intertwined, forming a mysterious and complicated formation diagram. Once the formation diagram was formed, it could attract the essence of heaven and earth to condense a powerful force to kill the creatures trapped in the formation. Soon, the entire valley was shrouded in a layer of chaotic divine fire. This was the method of breaking an array with an array. Didn't the Golden Crow clan have a protective array? It was definitely not an easy task to break through the great defensive formation. For Kang Q and Demon God, breaking an array with an array was the best choice. Old demon, let's begin, Kang Q said to Demon God. All right. Demon God nodded and directly soared into the sky, landing in the formation eye of the chaotic divine fire formation and personally presided over the chaotic divine fire formation. Kang Q then entered the chaotic divine fire formation. The two experts jointly presided over the super killing formation, vowing to break the protective array of the Golden Crow clan and slaughter the entire Golden Crow clan. The chaotic Golden Rock clan and the Golden Crow clan had become irreconcilable enemies. The enmity would only truly become a thing of the past when one was completely destroyed by the other. Kang Q would not let the Golden Crow clan go because the Golden Crow clan was a huge threat to him. If he did not remove the roots, it would grow again when the spring breeze blows. He understood this principle very well. Boom! Heaven and earth shook. The power of the chaotic divine fire formation collided with the power of the protective array of the Golden Crow clan in the sky above the valley with a loud bang. Where the two forces collided, The void was directly annihilated and the protective array of the Golden Crow clan shook violently. At this moment, a mountain in the distance collapsed amidst the tremors. Dust filled the air and it was as terrifying as if there were 4 giant dragons turning over under the ground. The ground kept rising and sinking, as terrifying as the end of the world. Boom! At this moment, the entire ground exploded and the ground was overturned. 4 powerful figures rushed out from the sky full of dust. Every single one of them exuded an extremely powerful aura, causing the entire world to tremble because of their existence. These 4 experts were the Chaos Demon Ape and the other 2. The 3 gargoyle demons fought the mysterious middle-aged man together, but they were shocked to find that the mysterious middle-aged man was actually on par with them with the 8 notes magic flute in his hand. It seems like we can't take this guy down without using our full strength. You two should stop hiding your strength. If you can't take this guy down, it won't look good in front of Master. The Chaos Demon Ape glanced at the Divine Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon Head Demon and said coldly, "Do I need you to say that?" The Dragon Head Demon said indifferently. Hearing the Chaos Demon Ape's words, the mysterious middle-aged man couldn't help but be shocked and angry. These guys were actually holding back. If I had mastered the first 4 notes of the 8 demon chords, killing these 3 guys would be as easy as blowing off dust. The mysterious middle-aged man thought to himself. He had only mastered the first 3 notes of the 8 demon chords, but it was already enough for him to fight endlessly with the Chaos Demon Ape and the other 2 gargoyle demons. This kind of battle strength was almost invincible among those in the same realm. You guys are also demons. Why do you want to make things difficult for me? The mysterious middle-aged man held the 8 notes magic flute and stared at the Chaos Demon Ape. Haha, look at what you're saying. It's not that we want to make things difficult for you, but you want to make things difficult for us. Do you understand? The Chaos Demon Ape laughed. The mysterious middle-aged man couldn't help but be startled when he heard this. This guy's words weren't unreasonable. It seemed like the mysterious middle-aged man really did attack first. Alright, why are you talking so much nonsense? There are 2 paths for you to choose now. One is to live. As long as you hand over the 8 notes magic flute in your hand, we'll leave your corpse intact. The Great Yin Demon Spider said fiercely. What about the second path? The mysterious middle-aged man stared at the Great Yin Demon Spider and said coldly. The second path is for us to attack. Once we attack, it won't be as simple as just dying. The Chaos Demon Ape stared at the mysterious middle-aged man. A ray of light flashed in the depths of its eyes, and a powerful murderous aura erupted from its body. I want to choose the third path. The mysterious middle-aged man gritted his teeth and tightened his grip on the 8 notes magic flute. His eyes became extremely firm. The third path. The Chaos Demon Ape and the others stared at the mysterious middle-aged man. They could attack him at any time. That is, to kill you. The mysterious middle-aged man blew into the 8 notes magic flute. A demonic sound that seemed to be able to penetrate the heavens and destroy the void immediately spread from the flute. The void around the mysterious middle-aged man was actually being destroyed. The demonic sound spread, and in an instant, a huge hole appeared in the sky. What? The Chaos Demon Ape and the others were involuntarily pulled towards the big hole by a powerful devouring force. At the same time, the killing power of the demonic sound instantly enveloped them. In the next moment, the 3 stone demons collapsed in the void at the same time without even letting out a scream. They were shattered by the killing power of the 8 notes magic flute. This, Yu Qiong, Peng Shi, and the others in the distance were shocked when they saw this scene. They were well aware of the Chaos Demon Ape and the others' strength. The 3 demons were all abnormally powerful, but now, the mysterious middle-aged man had shattered their bodies just like that. Yu Qiong already wanted to escape. He did not want to stay here and die. However, after the mysterious middle-aged man performed this killing move, his aura became very weak and was on the verge of collapsing. Kill. Peng Shi saw hope. He roared and directly took a step forward. He approached the mysterious middle-aged man in an incomparably domineering manner and then smashed his fist towards the mysterious middle-aged man. Bam! No one expected that a muffled sound could be heard. The mysterious middle-aged man was fiercely smashed in the face by Peng Shi's fist, and he was sent flying. Peng Shi looked at his fist and was stunned. He never thought that he could actually send the mysterious man flying with a single punch. The mysterious man's level was not something he could imagine. Yu Qiong also opened his mouth in shock. 8 notes magic flute. Yu Qiong's eyes lit up and he rushed forward. In an instant, he caught up with the mysterious middle-aged man who was sent flying. Then, he stretched out his right hand and wanted to snatch the 8 notes magic flute from the mysterious middle-aged man's hand. However, the mysterious middle-aged man suddenly sent a slap over and ruthlessly slapped Yu Qiong's face. Yu Qiong let out a miserable shriek as he was sent flying. Fuck, why am I so unlucky? Chapter 34-35. When Yu Qiong saw the mysterious middle-aged man being punched away by Peng Shi, he wanted to take advantage of the situation. He wanted to snatch the magic flute of 8 notes from the mysterious middle-aged man. However, who knew that the mysterious man still had the strength to fight back? He slapped Yu Qiong and sent him flying away. Yu Qiong fell to the ground in a sorry state. Yu Qiong groaned in pain and crawled up from the ground. He soared into the sky. His hair was fluffy like a bird's nest. His body was covered in dust. The place where the mysterious middle-aged man slapped him was swollen. The palm print was very clear. He opened his mouth in pain and spat out a few teeth. His face was crooked. Fortunately, the mysterious middle-aged man was already injured. Otherwise, that slap would have definitely killed Yu Qiong. Why would there be so much nonsense? At the same time, the gargoyle, which had been shattered by the mysterious middle-aged man's sonic attack, reappeared in the void. Its shattered body was reforming. Very quickly, the Chaos Demon Ape and the others reformed their bodies. It was impossible to tell that they had just been injured. Moreover, what made the mysterious middle-aged man afraid was that the Chaos Demon Ape's chi and blood were still very strong. They were not injured at all. Damn it! The Chaos Demon Ape roared. He stared at the mysterious middle-aged man fiercely. He wanted to swallow this guy alive. The Tai Yin demon spider and the dragon-head demon were also furious. They almost failed miserably. If they really died in the hands of this guy, it would be really unjust. At this time, the mysterious middle-aged man was dumbfounded. These 3 guys had their bodies destroyed by him. They could actually reform their bodies and recover. The mysterious middle-aged man used the 4th note of the magic flute of 8 notes. Otherwise, he would not have almost killed the Chaos Demon Ape and the others. At this time, Peng Shi and Yu Qiong had already retreated far away. Once they were affected by the battle between experts of this level, they would definitely be killed. Ridiculous. I don't believe that I can't kill you. After the mysterious middle-aged man steadied himself, he immediately blew into the magic flute of 8 notes. The 4th note on the magic flute of 8 notes lit up. The 4th note on the magic flute of 8 notes lit up. Then, it crazily swallowed the surrounding chi of heaven and earth. It also swallowed the mysterious middle-aged man's chi. An extreme aura spread out from the magic flute of 8 notes in the mysterious middle-aged man's hand. It really is an ultimate demonic artifact. When Yu Qiong saw this scene, he couldn't help feeling shocked. Only with an extreme path devil artifact could this guy fight against the Chaos Demon Ape. Attack! The Chaos Demon Ape didn't want his devil body to shatter again. He roared and a strong devil force immediately erupted from his body. The surrounding void was trembling. At the same time, the Great Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon-Head Demon attacked as well. The Dragon-Head Demon spat out a demonic spear. After it flew out of his mouth, it immediately grew larger and shot towards the mysterious middle-aged man. Everyone had a few life-saving techniques. The Chaos Devil Ape and the others naturally had some as well. At this moment, they attacked with all their might. The void around them instantly exploded. Heaven and earth were collapsing. The Great Yin Demon Spider waved its hand and a large net immediately flew out. Like a dark cloud, it shrouded the mysterious middle-aged man. The Chaos Demon Ape was even more powerful. The chaotic devil chi around his body was vast and mighty. His body suddenly grew to the size of a small hill. He was in a berserk state. This was the ultimate technique of the Chaos Demon Ape clan. In a berserk state, the Chaos Demon Ape's battle strength would soar to a level that even he himself was afraid of. The extreme chaotic devil force exploded from the Chaos Demon Ape's body. The void around him kept exploding. Even the sky seemed like it was about to collapse. This, the mysterious middle-aged man couldn't help but be shocked. These three guys were actually holding back. He didn't expect that these three guys would be so terrifying when they fought with all their might. He didn't dare to be careless. He used the heavenly demon fourth sound with all his might. The terrifying killing power of the sound spread out and blocked the Chaos Demon Ape's attack. However, the Chaos Demon Ape's attack did not hurt the mysterious middle-aged man. Instead, blood seeped out of the mysterious middle-aged man's eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. The mysterious middle-aged man couldn't hold on any longer. With the mysterious middle-aged man's cultivation, he still couldn't use the heavenly demon fourth sound. The consequences of forcefully using the heavenly demon fourth sound were very serious. Roar. At this moment, the Chaos Demon Ape in a berserk state roared. He had almost completely fallen into madness, but he still maintained a trace of sobriety. He wouldn't let himself really sink into it. The Chaos Demon Ape directly swung its huge fist at the mysterious middle-aged man. An extremely violent power erupted, shaking the heaven and earth. It was as if this fist could destroy everything. This was the power of the extreme Tao. It directly resisted the killing power of the heavenly demon fourth sound and blocked the power of the heavenly demon fourth sound. At the same time, the attacks of the Supreme Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon Head Demon were blocked by the killing power of the Heavenly Demon Fourth Sound. The Dragon Head Demon's demonic spear was fixed in the void. It constantly vibrated and released tyrannical demonic power. The demon web of the Supreme Yin Demon Spider was also blocked by the killing power of the sound and couldn't envelop it. The mysterious middle-aged man was impressive to be able to block the attacks of three great stone demons by himself. However, he had already overdrawn his life force and was bleeding from his 7 orifices. He knew that if he continued, he would die, but he couldn't stop. Because if he stopped, he would die immediately. Haha, that guy is dead for sure. Yu Qiong saw this scene from afar and almost jumped in joy. Just now, he was slapped by the mysterious middle-aged man so loudly that his face was crooked. Now that he saw that the mysterious middle-aged man was about to die, he was naturally the happiest person. That's not for sure. Peng Shi's voice came from beside Yu Qiong. What? Yu Qiong turned around and looked at Peng Shi. He was very confused. That guy was clearly about to die. Could it be that he could fly away? The mysterious middle-aged man was in a very dangerous situation. He could die at any time. This was something that everyone could see. However, the mysterious middle-aged man was still bitterly holding on. Even the magic flute of 8 sounds was stained with a lot of demon blood. The demon blood actually seeped into the flute. Then, an even more powerful demonic power erupted from the magic flute of 8 sounds. The Chaos Demon Ape and the others were immediately forced to retreat. What? Seeing this, Yu Qiong couldn't be happy. Chapter 34-36. Ji Yufei and the mysterious skeleton that came out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region fought. Wherever the two experts passed by, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. It was like the end of the world. Everyone was shocked to the extreme when they saw this. However, the person who was most shocked was still Ji Yufei, because the mysterious skeleton could actually fight him in close combat without being at a disadvantage. He had rarely encountered such an opponent. Hand of Heaven Covering. Ji Yufei shouted and directly used this martial arts technique. Endless chaotic force condensed on his right hand, and then he struck out with his palm. Rumble. A huge hand of chaos immediately rushed out from his hand. It instantly enlarged and enveloped the area. Of course, it also enveloped the mysterious skeleton. The mysterious skeleton was also different from when it came out from the depths of the Taiyin desolate region at this time. A ball of soul light that was 10 times more resplendent than the divine sun appeared in its skull. At this time, the soul light within the mysterious skeleton's skull suddenly flourished. Then, a black shadow rushed out from the mysterious skeleton's body and turned into a demonic shadow. It rushed towards the giant hand that covered the sky. Boom! With a loud sound, the hand that Jiu Fei had struck out collided with the demonic shadow that rushed out from the mysterious skeleton. The huge hand and the mysterious demonic shadow dissipated at the same time, turning into two entangled forces that collided and destroyed each other. The vast energy waves directly shattered the surrounding void. The energy waves that descended from the sky directly caused the ground to sink by dozens of meters. These two guys, at this time, an old man came to the nearby area and saw Jiu Fei fighting with the mysterious skeleton. This old man was the East Pole Elder. The East Pole Elder stared at the mysterious skeleton that Jiu Fei was fighting with and frowned. The demonic aura on the skeleton seemed familiar. Could it be? The East Pole Elder suddenly thought of a possibility and could not help but be shocked. It was no secret that there were demonic creatures in the Taiyin Desolate region. All the cultivation forces in the East Continent were very clear about this. However, no one knew where these demonic creatures came from. How was the Taiyin Desolate domain formed? Currently, the mainstream view of the cultivation world in the East Continent was that Supreme Taiyin had fallen here, so it had turned into a dead zone. However, why did Supreme Taiyin die here? No one knew about this. Perhaps it had something to do with the legendary Sound Demon Sovereign. If the Great Yin Sovereign and the Sound Demon Sovereign met, it was unknown who would emerge victorious. Perhaps the Great Yin Sovereign wasn't the only one who perished here. Perhaps there were other Devil Path Sovereigns as well. This was exactly what the East Pole Elder was worried about. Kill. Jiu Fei let out a furious roar and his figure instantly disappeared into the void. In the next moment, when he reappeared, he was already above the mysterious skeleton's head. Then, he stretched out his 5 fingers and grabbed at the skull. The mysterious skull lowered its head, causing Jiu Fei's grab to miss. Although this move failed, Jiu Fei also changed his move. He directly collided with the mysterious skeleton, sending it flying. Whoosh! Jiu Fei took a step forward and instantly appeared above the mysterious skeleton. Then, he stomped down on the skeleton below, causing violent power to erupt from his foot. This was the first step of the 8 steps 8 killing force of the 8 desolation steps. There was no doubt about the might of the 8 desolation steps. Even with Jiu Fei's current cultivation base, it was still difficult for him to display the true might of the 8 desolation steps. Boom! As soon as Jiu Fei's foot landed, the entire void beneath his feet immediately exploded. A terrifying destructive power instantly enveloped the mysterious skeleton. However, Jiu Fei had originally thought that the mysterious skeleton was finished. Unexpectedly, the mysterious skeleton had actually broken through Jiu Fei's sealing power and escaped. Upon seeing this, Jiu Fei was shocked. He immediately used the 8 desolation steps and chased after it in an instant. The two silhouettes were extremely fast. In an instant, they were far away. Wherever they passed, the earth and sky shook. Everything was destroyed and destroyed. These two great experts were simply two ultimate gods of destruction. Where do you think you're going? Jiu Fei directly displayed the 9 heaven-punishing swords. 9 immortal sword lights immediately rushed out of his body and pierced through the mysterious skeleton in front of him. A gust of cold sword chi immediately filled the air. Under the impact of the sword chi, the surrounding temperature rapidly dropped. However, what shocked Jiu Fei was that the mysterious skeleton did not dodge. It let the sword lights slash its body. Clanging sounds could be heard. The immortal sword lights pierced the mysterious skeleton's bone body and directly sent the sword lights flying. How dare you! Eat my fist! When Jiu Fei saw the sword light being repelled by the opponent, he immediately rushed forward and punched the mysterious skeleton. Violent fist energy erupted and the mysterious skeleton was sent flying in an instant. The mysterious skeleton had not yet climbed up from the ground. It turned around and spat a mouthful of demonic fire at Jiu Fei. The mysterious skeleton's demonic fire instantly enveloped the entire void. The pitch-black demonic fire burned the void and continued to annihilate the void. Then, the mysterious skeleton took advantage of the fact that Jiu Fei was trapped in the demonic fire to directly retreat and walk into the central area of this area. Buzz. At this moment, the shadow of an ancient cauldron appeared in the demonic fire. Then, the surrounding demonic fire immediately gathered towards the shadow of the ancient cauldron. In just a few breaths, the mysterious skeleton's demonic fire was taken away by the ancient cauldron. It runs so fast. Jiu Fei found that he could no longer sense the mysterious skeleton's aura, which made him very surprised. Just as Jiu Fei chased the mysterious skeleton away, a huge tremor was heard. The entire void and the entire ground were shaking. Then, a towering ancient tree rushed out from the depths of the earth. It turned into a divine light and was about to jump. However, at this moment, a huge net fell from the sky and shrouded the ancient tree. At the same time, Jiu Fei also rushed over from afar and appeared nearby in an instant. He did not hesitate and immediately rushed up to subdue the Tree of Immortality. The Tree of Immortality was very cunning. After failing to escape from the sky, it swooped down from the sky and pounced at the Tree of Immortality. Chapter 34-37. The Immortal God Tree was a wood elemental living being, so its forte was probably the earth escape technique. Once the Immortal God Tree burrowed into the ground, it would definitely not be easy to catch it again. Buzz. Jiu Fei flipped his right hand and an ancient cauldron appeared in his hand. In the next moment, the ancient cauldron in his hand emitted a powerful sealing force that shocked the heavens. In the next moment, the entire void was completely suppressed by the sealing force. Even the Chaos Demonic Ape and the other demonic devils were frozen as if someone had cast a spell on them. They could not move at all, not even a finger. Only their eyes could move. Only two great formations were still in operation. The Golden Crow clan's defensive great formation had cracks, which was why the Immortal God Tree had panicked and escaped through the cracks, trying to escape. The Immortal God Tree could exist eternally in the world and was almost indestructible. However, the heavens were fair. The Immortal God Tree had an almost indestructible life, but it could not cultivate earth-shattering theurgy. Although this Immortal God Tree could not cultivate any earth-shattering mystic arts, its ability to escape was not weak. Of course, by the time Jiu Fei took out the mountain and river cauldron and froze the void, the Immortal God Tree had already escaped into the depths of the earth. Following the earth vein, it escaped to God knows where. How dare you? I was still half a step too late. Jiu Fei was furious. The power of the mountain and river cauldron could seal the void, but it was still too slow. The Immortal God Tree had escaped, and it would be even more difficult to catch it in the future. Damn it, go to hell. Jiu Fei was enraged. The consequences would be dire. The mountain and river cauldron in his hand emitted a humming sound as a powerful primordial chaos energy erupted from it. In the next moment, the demonic creatures that were frozen in place exploded, turning into clouds of black fog. Their bodies and souls were instantly destroyed. At the same time, the Chaos Demonic Ape and the others were shocked to find that they could move again. When they saw the clouds of blood that exploded, they were shocked again. The name of the Golden Crow clan can now be erased. Jiu Fei was filled with murderous intent. He held the mountain and river cauldron in his hand and directly came to the top of the valley where the Golden Crows were. Kill. Without any hesitation, Jiu Fei activated the mountain and river cauldron with all his might. With a furious roar, the mountain and river cauldron in his hand released rays of primordial chaos divine light. The countless ancient beasts on the body of the mountain and river cauldron seemed to have come to life, emitting an extremely violent aura. Jiu Fei smashed the mountain and river cauldron in his hand into the valley below. When Jiu Fei made his move, two figures rushed out of the Chaos Divine Flame formation and retreated far away. They were Kang Q and the Demon God. Kang Q immediately waved his hand, causing the 18 formation flags that were scattered around the valley to rise from the ground and fly towards him, landing in his hands. The Chaos Divine Flame formation that shrouded the entire valley was removed by Kang Q. At that moment, the mountain and river cauldron fell from the sky like a meteorite and fiercely smashed onto the Golden Crow clan's protective formation. Boom! With an earth-shattering bang, the mountain and river cauldron finally smashed a big hole in the protective formation that already had cracks on it. The mountain and river cauldron did not stop after smashing the Golden Crow clan's protective formation. Instead, it continued to smash into the valley. With another loud bang, the mountain and river cauldron directly smashed onto the ground. In the next moment, the entire ground directly collapsed and collapsed. Everything on the ground was shattered into dust by the mighty primordial chaos force of the mountain and river cauldron the moment the mountain and river cauldron smashed onto the ground. As the primordial chaos force erupted from the mountain and river cauldron, everything in the valley was obliterated. The spiritual land was directly destroyed. The pavilions in the valley, the bridges, the flowing water, and the spiritual spring with spiritual liquid were all turned into nothingness the moment the mountain and river cauldron smashed down. Countless clansmen of the Golden Crow clan were directly smashed into a mist of blood, their bodies and souls destroyed. This, looking at the furious Gu Fei, Kang Q and the demon god were extremely shocked. They had never expected Gu Fei to destroy a spiritual land. One should know that it was not easy to find a spiritual land in the Taiyin Desperate Domain. There were only a few spiritual lands in the entire Taiyin Desperate Domain. It was such a pity to destroy it just like that. Yu Qiong was extremely pained to see this scene. You could have given me the spiritual land if you didn't want it. Destroying it just like that is such a waste of God's resources. You will be punished by God. Of course, to Gu Fei, even the punishment of God could not do anything to him. Rumble, the whole valley directly collapsed. As endless soil sank, the spiritual land completely disappeared from the earth, becoming a thing of the past. All that was left was a big pit. The spiritual energy gathered by the spiritual stones was not small. The mountain and river cauldron emitted a powerful devouring power, completely devouring the huge amount of spiritual energy released by the collapse of the valley. At this time, everyone was watching the scene of destruction and did not speak for a long time. Is the Golden Crow clan really finished just like that? Many cultivators could not believe it, but the truth spoke louder than words. The stronghold of the Golden Crow clan in the Taiyin Desperate Domain had been uprooted by Gu Fei. Of course, no one could be sure that all the clansmen of the Golden Crow clan were dead. Whoosh! After Gu Fei took back the mountain and river cauldron, he immediately stepped into the depths of the Taiyin Desperate Domain. Soon, there was a strong energy fluctuation in the depths of the Taiyin Desperate Domain. About half an hour later, Gu Fei walked out from the depths of the Taiyin Desperate Domain. His clothes were tattered and his face was covered with dirt. He had failed to kill those old guys in the depths of the Taiyin Desperate Domain. Let's go. Gu Fei directly ordered everyone, and then he crushed a jade talisman. When the jade talisman was broken, a power sealed in the jade talisman was released and instantly enveloped him. The next moment, with a flash of divine light, Gu Fei disappeared in the void without any sign. Kang Q and the others quickly crushed the jade talismans in their hands. With the power of the jade talismans, they all returned to the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Gu Fei did not leave immediately. He stayed with the chaotic Golden Rock clan. He had not given up yet. He wanted to capture the Tree of Immortality. However, they had already alerted the enemy in the Taiyin Desperate Domain. The Tree of Immortality would not appear in a short period of time. Gu Fei had sent countless cultivators to search for the Tree of Immortality, but in the end, it was all in vain. They had been busy for a long time in vain. During this period of time, with Gu Fei guarding the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, no one dared to attack the chaotic Golden Rock clan. The three major forces were extremely powerful, but they were no match for Gu Fei. They were taught a lesson by Gu Fei and did not have any temper. Unknowingly, a year had passed. Gu Fei was cultivating in the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan. The spiritual qi in the ancestral vein of earth was undoubtedly the purest. Gu Fei went straight into the ancestral vein of earth and sat down at the place with the densest spiritual qi. He circulated his mystic art and began cultivating. Cultivating in the ancestral vein of earth was many times better than cultivating in the outside world. Meanwhile, Kang Q and the others were not idling around. They were expanding their territory. The Black Snake clan, the Heaven God clan, and the Earth Spirit clan were no match for them. The Earth Spirit clan was the most pitiful among the three clans. Even their primogeniture was sealed in the mountain and river cauldron by Gu Fei. The chaotic Golden Rock clan was definitely the overlord of the eastern continent. The other three clans could no longer pose any threat to the chaotic Golden Rock clan. Gu Fei cultivated in the depths of the ancestral vein of earth in peace. Meanwhile, on the ancestral star of the Crepe Myrtle clan in the human realm, the Ji clan's dominance was about to be broken, as the Ji clan was experiencing internal strife. Empress Ji's ruling position was threatened because Ji Changkong had returned. Not many people knew the truth of what happened in the past. Ji Changkong was plotted against by Empress Ji, causing him to be lost in the primal chaos world for 10,000 years. How could Ji Changkong not take revenge? And the one who was with Ji Changkong was He Tian, who loved to see the world in chaos. Although Empress Ji was an extremely intelligent person, she was also plotted against by He Tian, causing her to reveal what happened in the past. The entire Ji clan was shocked. Empress Ji was successfully pulled down from the position of clan leader by Ji Changkong and He Tian. Furthermore, Ji Changkong and He Tian had even released a terrifying ferocious demon. Wherever that ferocious demon passed, blood would flow like a river. It was as if the place had turned into hell, causing one's heart to palpitate. The demon became stronger and stronger. It even destroyed many forces. Even one of the Ji clan's spiritual lands was attacked. It was almost invaded by the peerless Demonis. At this time, the Ji clan had already been divided into two camps. One camp was led by Ji Changkong, and the other was led by Empress Ji. The Ji clan encountered great changes, but they did not have the time to deal with the demon that was wreaking havoc in the ancestral star of the Crepe Myrtle clan. Of course, the Ji clan did not care about the demon, but it did not mean that the other forces would let her wreak havoc in the world. Therefore, the Yun clan and the other powerful cultivation clans sent experts to encircle the demon. However, encircling the demon was an extremely dangerous matter. The Yun clan's great elder personally fought against the demon at the Soaring Cloud Ridge. This battle shook the world, and the Yun clan's great elder was killed by the demon. The Ziwei Yun clan had lost an expert, and not an ordinary one at that. After the news of the Yun clan's great elder's death spread, the entire ancestral star of the Crepe Myrtle clan was shocked. Chapter 34-38. The ancient path of the human race was a path of cultivation, but it was fraught with danger. Only by surviving could one become strong. Gulling had brought her junior brothers, disciples, and martial nephews onto the ancient path. Although the path was extremely dangerous, they did not regret it. At that moment, Gulling and the others stopped in front of an impregnable pass. This pass had been in ruins for a long time. The walls were thousands of meters tall, and there were huge cracks all over them. Some places had even been blasted into huge craters. Master, that is, Yang suddenly pointed to a place and exclaimed. Gulling looked in the direction that Yang was pointing at and saw that a part of the wall had caved in, forming a large pit. In the center of the pit, there was a broken arrow stuck in. That is, when Gulling saw this, she couldn't help but be startled. Looking closely, she saw that the arrow in the hole was rusted and almost rotten. It seemed that someone had attacked this pass countless years ago. The arrow had struck the wall, creating a large hole. She could still sense a faintly discernible fiendish aura from the broken arrow. How powerful! Gulling was moved. The person who had shot this arrow had to be extremely powerful. He was probably on par with her father, Gu Fei. Senior sister, why do I have a bad feeling about this? Zhao Hao said uneasily as he looked at the open city gates. The open city gate was pitch black, like a gaping mouth that could swallow any living creature that approached the city gate at any time. Along the way, Zhao Hao had experienced countless battles, and he had gradually matured. His still somewhat immature face was now filled with unswerving determination. Whether it was Zhao Hao, Yang or Meng Long, their cultivation bases and temperaments had all been tempered, and their cultivation bases had been greatly improved. Master, should we take a detour or go in? Yang who usually liked to bicker with Zhao Hao, did not try to cause trouble for him. Why are we on the ancient path? Guling asked earnestly as she looked at the impregnable pass in front of them. Master, we know what to do. Yang nodded and walked forward. Zhao Hao hurriedly followed. A powerful aura surged from his body and streams of earth elemental essence circled around him. A mighty pressure spread from his body. Senior uncle, we'd better be careful. It would be bad if those bastards from the Dongfang family ambushed us inside. Meng Long stood beside Guling and watched as Zhao Hao and Yang walked toward the city gates. Compared to when Meng Long had first stepped onto the ancient road of the human race, his aura had undergone a fundamental change. A murderous aura lingered around his body. Meng Long had gone through countless life and death battles, so he was able to form such a murderous aura. Meng Long's appearance had also changed. He now had a full beard and a scar on the left side of his face. It was also because of this scar that he looked rough and ferocious. He was Jiyu Zhong's disciple, Jiyu Fei's grand disciple, so Jiyu Ling was naturally his martial uncle. Then go in and take a look. Guling said to Meng Long me again. Meng Long's head immediately drooped when he heard Guling's words. It seemed that he had been leading the charge ever since he stepped onto the ancient road of the human race. If it's not you, then it's me. Hurry up and go. Guling reached out and grabbed Meng Long, then threw him toward the city gates. Don't, martial uncle. Meng Long screamed as he flew over Zhao Hao and Yang Er's heads. He flew through the open city gates and landed on his back with a loud bang. Zhao Hao and Yang Er stopped in place, smiling as they looked at Meng Long lying on the ground. They were used to seeing things like this, and weren't surprised at all. At this time, Meng Long hurriedly climbed up from the ground and looked around. He saw that the surroundings were gloomy and seemed to be shrouded in mist. Inside the city gate was a wide bluestone road paved with thick bluestone. There were houses on both sides of the bluestone road. These houses were all built with hard stones, but most of the doors and windows of the houses were missing. Whoosh! A cold wind blew across the bluestone road, causing Meng Long to shiver uncontrollably. Martial uncle, it seems to be safe inside. Meng Long called out to Guling outside the city gates. Very well, then we're coming in. Guling said as she led Zhao Hao and Yang into the city. Just as Jiyu Ling and the others entered the impregnable pass, a dozen figures were gathered in a valley 1,000 miles away from the impregnable pass. They seemed to be waiting for something. Soon, a black figure descended from the sky and landed on a boulder in the valley. Elder Chu is here. Let's begin. A white-haired old man walked out. This time, let's see where that little demon girl Guling can escape to, the black-robed man on the boulder said coldly. The black-clothed man on the boulder said coldly. This was a black-clothed old man. This old man had a pair of small eyes. His eye sockets were deep, and his gaze was sharp and vicious. At this moment, Jiyu Fei had no idea that someone was plotting against his daughter. Of course, even if he knew, he wouldn't be able to help Guling solve the problem. Ancestral God World, Eastern Continent, Primal Chaos Golden Rock Races Ancestral Land. Deep within the ancestral vein, Jiyu Fei sat cross-legged on a large boulder as he breathed in and out the dense earth essence energy around him. He wanted to use the endless earth essence energy in the ancestral vein to refine his martial body. He wanted to refine his martial body to the highest level possible in the quasi-supremacy realm. The transformation of the martial body required a nirvana, from the inside to the outside. Only then could the martial body reach the great perfection realm. While Jiyu Fei was in seclusion, Kang Qiu and the others were not idling around. The 5 great regions of the ancestral god realm were in turmoil, and no one knew when the 3 great forces of the central continent would attack. At this time, the great forces of the East Continent were following the lead of the Chaos Golden Rock race. Compared to the other great regions, the East Continent had returned to peace after the baptism of chaos. The great forces of the East Continent had their own concerns, so they couldn't fight for the time being. However, the internal strife between the 3 great forces of the ancestral god realm's central continent would definitely affect the other 4 great regions. This was an undeniable fact. Kang Qiu didn't want the East Continent to fall into turmoil again. However, the thing that Kang Qiu didn't want to see the most happened. One morning, A cultivator came to the Chaos Golden Rock Race's ancestral land. Chapter 34-39. Everyone in the Chaos Golden Rock clan was nervous that someone from the central continent had come to the ancestral god realm. After all, it was not a good thing for someone from the central continent to come. The Skyfire clan, one of the 3 superpowers of the central continent, had a grudge with Gu Fei. On that day, Gu Fei had barged into the depths of the Skyfire clan's ancestral land and chased away Absolute Fire Ancestor. Absolute Fire Ancestor was the ancestral god's heart. If he escaped, he would definitely become a huge problem for Gu Fei and the Chaos Golden Rock clan in the future. Even Gu Fei was afraid of the mysterious expert who had appeared in the depths of the Skyfire clan's ancestral land and did not want to offend him. This time, the cultivator from the East Continent was from the Pang clan. The Pang clan sent an emissary to the Chaos Golden Rock clan, hoping to form an alliance with them against the Skyfire clan. Kang Q personally received the emissary from the Pang clan. After learning the emissary's intention, he did not make a decision immediately. Instead, he asked someone to take the emissary away and arrange a place for him to stay. One should know that the ancestral god realm was very deep and one could drown if one was not careful. Even someone as strong as Kang Q had to be careful and advance step by step. Otherwise, he might not even know how he died. Just after the emissary from the Pang clan left, another emissary from the central continent came to visit. This gave Kang Q a bad feeling. He was afraid that the ancestral god realm would really be in chaos. The superpowers of the central continent had begun to rope in forces from other regions. Kang Q was very clear that if he did not form an alliance with the Pang clan, he would become their enemy. However, if he did, he would become enemies with the other 2 superpowers. This was a huge headache. Kang Q did not want to be involved in this turmoil, but there seemed to be no way for him to stay out of it. The Chaos Golden Rock clan appeared to be very powerful on the surface, but Kang Q knew that it was all because of Gu Fei's support. Otherwise, he would not be able to deal with the superpowers of the East Continent, let alone the superpowers of the Central Continent. Kang Q received another emissary from the Central Continent in the Ancestral Hall. It was a middle-aged man from the Fire clan who was surrounded by fiery chi. This was the emissary of the Skyfire clan. There was no suspense. The emissary of the Skyfire clan had come to the East Continent to rope in Kang Q. He wanted to form an alliance with Kang Q, a newly risen expert. However, Kang Q still didn't agree. Of course, he didn't refuse either. He sent someone to lead the Heavenly Fire clan's emissary away to rest while he pondered. Sure enough, there were no eternal enemies and no eternal friends. Kang Q sighed. Back then, he and Gu Fei had invaded the ancestral land of the Heavenly Fire clan and completely offended them. But now, the Heavenly Fire clan still sent an emissary to recruit him. This was a rule that all the major forces abided by, a rule that placed benefits above all else. As long as it was beneficial to them, even enemies could become friends. Of course, there were countless examples of friends or even brothers becoming enemies. All of this was the result of being driven by benefits. Among the 3 superpowers of the Central Continent, only the Kanglan clan did not send an envoy to the East Continent. The Kanglan clan was originally a clan with a transcendent status. They kept a low profile and were not ostentatious. Even if the ancestral god realm was in turmoil, this clan would probably not come out. Therefore, among the 3 superpowers of the Central Continent, only the Pang clan and the Heavenly Fire clan were competing. What should I do? Kang Q sat on the throne in the middle of the ancestral hall and pondered for a long time. However, he couldn't think of a way to preserve his strength. He didn't want to offend either the Heavenly Fire clan or the Pang clan because offending either of them wouldn't be a good thing for the entire chaotic Golden Rock clan. Old ancestor, why don't you ask that person to come out and block us? Peng Shi, who was standing to the side, said when he saw Kang Q's troubled expression. What? Kang Q's eyes lit up when he heard this. That's right. If that person were to come out, all the problems would be solved. Especially that person who had a grudge against the Heavenly Fire clan and had fallen out with the Pang clan. If he were to come out, both the Heavenly Fire clan and the Pang clan would have some misgivings, but Kang Q was in a dilemma because that person was cultivating in seclusion in the depths of the ancestral earth vein. He had instructed that unless it was absolutely necessary, he shouldn't be disturbed. Old ancestor, there's no need to worry. We only need to mention that person's name. As for what he thinks, it's not something we can control. Peng Shi said. Not bad. That's a good idea. Haha. Kang Q burst into laughter when he heard this. The next day, Kang Q summoned the two great emissaries and said that he wouldn't form an alliance with anyone and would remain neutral. This was Ji Yufei's intention. The two great emissaries naturally returned disappointed. In fact, if it was Kang Q himself, he wouldn't be qualified for the Pang clan and the Heavenly Fire clan to send emissaries to rope him in. The person that the two superpowers wanted to rope in was actually Ji Yufei, who was behind Kang Q. He was the key. Unfortunately, Kang Q rejected them in the name of Ji Yufei. Of course, the two superpowers wouldn't let it go so easily. In fact, this also meant that the Pang clan and the Heavenly Fire clan were about to go to war. Once the war started, the entire ancestral god realm would be plunged into the flames of war and countless lives would be lost. At this time, Kang Q couldn't care less. Just when the ancestral god realm was about to fall into chaos, in the human realm's ancestral Myrtle Star, an upheaval was happening. A peerless demoness appeared out of nowhere, causing all the cultivators in the ancestral Myrtle Star to feel insecure. At this time, the Ji clan, which was originally the ruler of the ancestral Myrtle Star, fell into a split. The war between Ji Changkong and Empress Ji was on the verge of breaking out. In the Ji clan, the people who supported Ji Changkong were much fewer than those who supported Empress Ji. However, those who supported Ji Changkong were the experts among the experts. Ji Changkong wanted to take back what originally belonged to him. On the other hand, Empress Ji wanted to protect her position as the patriarch. She didn't want to step down from the throne like this. Her desire for power was greater than anything else. Most importantly, Ji Changkong had He Tian's help. Even if he wanted to suffer a loss, it would be difficult. The chaos in the ancestral Myrtle Star had already appeared, and the human realm would also be in chaos. An unprecedented upheaval was about to happen. This was a storm that would engulf all the great worlds. No one could remain unscathed. Everyone would be affected. At that time, even Ji Yufei wouldn't be able to protect himself, let alone the others. Chapter 3440. Whether it was the ancestral god realm or the human realm, all of them were surging in the dark, as if there was an invisible hand pushing everything forward. When the time comes, no one would be able to stay out of it. Perhaps the darkest era of the various realms was about to arrive. In the dark era of turmoil, only the strong could survive. However, relatively speaking, only the strong were the easiest to fall. Ji Yufei had long felt that this day would come sooner or later, so he had been preparing for it. Whether it was the chaos demonic realm, the ancestral god realm, the human realm, the heaven realm, or the desolate world, he had established forces in all of them. He was playing chess with the world as his chessboard, playing against the mysterious hand in the dark. Of course, he was well aware of his situation. He was definitely at a disadvantage. At this time, Ji Yufei was deep under the ancestral land of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. In the Earth ancestral vein, he was circulating a mysterious art and absorbing the vast Earth essence around him. His martial body had yet to transform to its strongest state. Even in the quasi-supreme realm, his martial body could still advance to the next level. Of course, to transform his martial body to its strongest state in the quasi-supreme realm, he had to break through the limit and transform his martial body again. Ji Yufei sat on the boulder for more than 10 days, motionless. Not even his eyelids twitched, but the sound of wind and thunder gradually came from his body. Rumble, rays of primal chaos divine light rushed out of his body and revolved around him. A powerful quasi-supreme being aura erupted from his body. 9 primal chaos Tao patterns appeared on his body, emitting an immortal divine light. As time passed, Ji Yufei's martial body gradually changed. His martial body seemed to become transparent, and countless glowing meridians appeared on his body. At this time, an ancient cauldron rushed out of Ji Yufei's body without warning and floated above Ji Yufei's head. Then, rays of primordial chaos chi fell from the ancient cauldron and enveloped Jiyu Fei. Above the ancient cauldron, the divine sound of the Great Path faintly came out. When the sound of the Great Path entered his ears, it made Jiyu Fei feel enlightened. Many things that he couldn't understand before were now clear. He tried to guide the primal chaos essence chi into his body. This was a type of essence chi that was even more advanced than the primal chaos chi. If he could cultivate the primal chaos martial body, then the strength of Jiyu Fei's martial body would soar to a level that would make his heart palpitate. However, the moment the primordial chaos essence entered his body, Jiyu Fei felt as if the countless meridians in his body had been torn apart. His entire body was in pain. The primal chaos essence energy was like molten iron as it directly entered Jiyu Fei's meridians. Wherever it passed, his meridians would be damaged. However, Jiyu Fei's martial body had an amazing regenerative ability. After his meridians were damaged, they could immediately be repaired. The repaired meridians would become even stronger and more tenacious. Jiyu Fei used the primordial chaos essence chi of the mountain and river cauldron to temper his martial body. No one could imagine the pain he had to go through during this process. Roar. Very soon, Jiyu Fei roared in pain. His face also became ferocious. His clothes instantly turned into dust, revealing his strong upper body. No matter how painful it was, he had to endure it. As long as he could endure it, the strength of Jiyu Fei's martial body would increase by a large amount. It was equivalent to experiencing a nirvana. However, the primordial chaos essence chi that fell from the mountain and river cauldron was too overbearing. It must be known that this was the ancestor chi of the world. Bang! One of Jiyu Fei's meridians exploded, directly blasting a bloody hole in his body. Following this, a series of chaotic sounds were heard as Jiyu Fei's body exploded with bloody holes one after another. He was still breathing in and out the primordial chaos essence chi, bitterly holding on. His upper body was covered in blood and blood was seeping out of the terrifying bloody holes. Rumble. The primordial chaos essence chi continued to circulate in Jiyu Fei's body. There seemed to be small snakes slithering under his skin. This was a strange phenomenon that occurred when the primordial chaos essence chi flowed through Jiyu Fei's meridians. As the primordial chaos essence chi in Jiyu Fei's body increased, his martial body found it hard to bear. Cracks appeared on his martial body as if it would collapse at any moment. What a domineering primordial chaos essence chi! Jiyu Fei had to admit that the primordial chaos essence chi was the most difficult essence chi to refine in the world. However, once it was refined, it would be a good thing for everyone. Another 6 hours passed. Jiyu Fei finally could not hold on any longer. The primordial chaos essence chi in his body lost control and his martial body exploded, turning into a bloody mist. Jiyu Fei cultivated the 9 secrets of the immortal way. Even if his body was smashed to pieces, he would not die. Then, one of the 9 secrets of the immortal way, the power of the ascension secret technique, enveloped the floating bloody mist in the void. The bloody mist surged and a figure quickly appeared from within it. After a while, the bloody mist disappeared and Jiyu Fei's figure appeared on the boulder again. He was probably the only one in the entire cultivation world who dared to do such a thing. He would shatter his martial body into a bloody mist and then reconstruct it. The reconstructed martial body had more or less been refined with some primordial chaos essence chi. After reconstructing his martial body, Jiyu Fei frantically devoured the primordial chaos essence chi again. Soon, his martial body exploded due to the primordial chaos essence chi. However, Jiyu Fei quickly reconstructed his martial body and appeared on the boulder again. At that moment, the power of the mountain and river cauldron hovering above Jiyu Fei's head enveloped the void. With the mountain and river cauldron around, no one would dare to sneak up on him. The aura emanating from the mountain and river cauldron was shocking enough. Even existences stronger than quasi-supreme beings would not dare to approach the mountain and river cauldron's aura. Jiyu Fei's martial body was constantly being blasted by the primordial chaos essence chi. Then, the primordial chaos essence chi was continuously being refined into the primordial chaos essence chi. Through this extreme method, Ji Yufei's martial body was gradually being refined with the primordial chaos essence qi. The primordial chaos essence qi in his body was also transforming into the primordial chaos essence qi. The process was slow, but it was indeed happening. Ji Yufei was completely focused on cultivating in the ancestral earth vein. He seemed to have forgotten about everything, even his own existence. After an unknown period of time, Ji Yufei finally stopped cultivating. A mass of primordial chaos divine light enveloped him and primordial chaos essence qi circled around his muscular upper body. His entire aura had changed. It had become much more restrained, giving people a feeling that he had returned to his natural state. Ji Yufei stood up from the boulder. He directly punched forward. The void in front of his fist actually produced ripples that could be seen with the naked eye. I haven't even exerted much strength, but I can already move the void. Ji Yufei looked at his own fist in shock. Due to his excitement, his voice was trembling. He did not successfully cultivate the primordial chaos martial body. He could only refine the primordial chaos essence qi into his body. Of course, under the nourishment of the primordial chaos essence qi, his blood, flesh, tendons, and bones were in the process of transforming into the primordial chaos martial body. Even so, the battle strength of his martial body had increased by quite a bit. Ji Yufei was confident that as long as he did not encounter those super abnormal fellows, it would be hard for him to find a decent opponent in the entire ancestral god realm. Swoosh! Ji Yufei did not hesitate. After he put away the mountain and river cauldron, he directly disappeared into the void. In the next moment, Ji Yufei's figure appeared in the sky above the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. The moment he appeared, several figures immediately rushed over from afar and surrounded him. When everyone saw that it was Ji Yufei, they couldn't help but be surprised and overjoyed. "Master, did you succeed?" Old ancestor Yu Qiong stared intently at Ji Yufei, as if he wanted to see through Ji Yufei's front, back, left, and right. With Yu Qiong's cultivation, he could naturally see through Ji Yufei's actual situation at a glance. He keenly sensed that there was a fundamental change in the aura on Ji Yufei's body. The primordial chaos essence qi had replaced the primordial chaos qi in Ji Yufei's body. To Ji Yufei, this change was to prepare for the martial body to undergo nirvana again. No. Ji Yufei shook his head. It was easier said than done to transform the martial body again. But Kang Qiu had also arrived. When he saw Ji Yufei, he was shocked. Ji Yufei's body had actually undergone such an earth-shattering transformation. This was something that no one had expected. "Let's go back first," Kang Qiu said and directly rushed to a palace below. It was the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral palace. Kang Qiu directly walked into the palace. Ji Yufei and the others also flew down from the sky and walked into the palace. Kang Qiu was already standing next to the throne in the middle of the palace. He didn't sit on the throne because Ji Yufei was the main character here. Ji Yufei directly walked into the palace and sat on the throne. What happened recently? Ji Yufei glanced at Kang Qiu and the demon god. At this moment, he realized that he had been in seclusion for half a year. When he was cultivating in the earth ancestral vein, he had forgotten the existence of time. Something big might happen in the central continent. Kang Qiu said after thinking for a while. Central continent. Ji Yufei couldn't help but frown. He knew that the waters of the central continent were deep because there were 3 superforces in the central continent. Each superforce was filled with experts. Whether it was the Pang clan or the Heavenly Fire clan, they all wanted to destroy each other and unify the entire central continent. "You want to fight for supremacy?" Ji Yufei glanced at Kang Qiu and said indifferently. The central continent was the largest among the 5 major continents of the ancestral god realm. It was also the richest continent with the highest number of humans. It could be said that it was a land of outstanding people. Whoever controlled the central continent was equivalent to controlling the ancestral god realm. With the central continent as the center, they could conquer everywhere. However, since ancient times, it seemed that no one could become the ruler of the central continent or even the entire ancestral god realm. "If you and I join forces." Chapter 3441. Jiyu Fei came out of seclusion. He had successfully transformed the chaotic qi in his body into primordial chaos qi. From then on, his flesh and bones were constantly nourished by the primordial chaos qi and gradually transformed. Although he did not make any breakthroughs in his cultivation realm during this seclusion, he had successfully planted the seed of martial body transformation in his body. Jiyu Fei was well aware that breaking through to the extreme grade realm was easier said than done. Since ancient times, many talented people had been stuck in the quasi-supreme realm, unable to break through and take that step to become an extreme grade supreme being. It was not enough to become an extreme grade supreme being by immersing oneself in cultivation alone. Sometimes, one had to rely on luck, opportunities, and fate. Such things could not be rushed. At this moment, Jiyu Fei was sitting on the throne in the Chaos Golden Rock clan's ancestral palace. Kang Q and the demon god stood beside the throne, while the important figures of the Chaos Golden Rock clan and the demonic experts that Jiyu Fei had brought with him stood below the throne. Yu Qiong was also among them. Yu Qiong was extremely depressed. One must know that he used to be the old ancestor of the Heavenly God clan and had a high status in the clan. But now, he didn't even have a seat here. He had to stand here. Who asked him to be someone else's servant? As a miserable servant, he could only stand when his master was seated. Being a servant was the most undignified profession. You want to contend for hegemony? Jiyu Fei's voice echoed in the hall. Everyone in the hall tensed up, especially the important figures of the Chaos Golden Rock clan. Contend for hegemony? Yu Qiong was shocked to hear Jiyu Fei's words. Those two words were incredible. It's not impossible if we work together. Kang Q looked at Jiyu Fei solemnly and said. He was not joking. If Jiyu Fei was willing to take action, they could definitely compete with the three great forces of the central continent. Even if they could not dominate the ancestral god realm, they could at least dominate the East continent. If you succeed, you'll become the overlord of the ancestral god realm. But it seems like I won't get any benefits at all. Do you think I'll do something that doesn't bring me any benefits? Jiyu Fei shook his head and said. How could there be no benefits? After this is done, you and I will jointly rule over the ancestral god realm. What do you think? Kang Q said seriously. Jiyu Fei didn't say anything, but the people in the hall were shocked after hearing Kang Q's words. Especially the important figures of the Golden Rock race, they were bewildered. The old ancestor actually wanted to share the world with Jiyu Fei. It was easy to say that the world would be divided equally, but it wasn't the case when it was actually done. One should know that two tigers couldn't share a mountain. It was inevitable that there would be all sorts of conflicts between Jiyu Fei and Kang Q. Kang Q knew that there would be many problems, but he still wanted to cooperate with Jiyu Fei. Since you want to go crazy, why don't I go crazy with you? Jiyu Fei pondered for a moment and made up his mind. This was the ancestral god realm, and he was just a passerby. He wouldn't mind even if there was an earthquake in the ancestral god realm. All right. Kang Q was overjoyed to see Jiyu Fei agree to it. As the saying goes, heroes are born in troubled times. The more turbulent the ancestral god realm was, the higher his chances of becoming the overlord of the ancestral god realm and unifying the ancestral god realm. Of course, given Kang Q's current strength, he wouldn't even be able to deal with the superpowers of the East continent without Jiyu Fei's support, let alone head to the central continent to contend for hegemony. What are you guys still standing here for? Hurry up and get ready. Kang Q shouted at the chaotic Golden Rock race's leaders in the hall. Yes. Old ancestor. The experts of the chaotic Golden Rock race standing in the main hall hurriedly accepted the order. Then, they turned around and rushed out of the main hall to prepare. Kang Q wanted to contend for hegemony and become the overlord of the ancestral god realm. He was ambitious, but no one knew if he would succeed. The ancestral god realm was huge, and there were many crouching tigers and hidden dragons. No one knew if there were any extreme Dao existences hiding in some corner of the ancestral god realm. The fire ape that was released to attack the Golden Crow race's ancestral land was a terrifying extreme Dao existence. The old ancestor of the Earth Spirit clan that was sealed in the Mountain River Cauldron was also a peerless figure that was infinitely close to the extreme Dao. Unfortunately, He encountered an even more monstrous existence like Jiyu Fei, so he met a tragic end. There was another fellow who was as tragic as the Earth Spirit ancestor, and that was the giant spirit demon that was defeated by Jiyu Fei in the extreme yin domain. At that moment, the hall became a little empty after the chaotic golden rock race's experts left. Only the 3 gargoyle demons, Yu Qiong, and the others were still standing there. Even the golden rock goddess, Peng Shi, and Peng Jingtian had left. Kang Qiu wanted to contend for hegemony, which was definitely a big deal for the entire chaotic golden rock race. Once he succeeded, they would become the overlord of the ancestral god realm. Peng Jingtian, Yu Qiong, and Yu Qiong were especially aware of Jiyu Fei's background. To the ancestral god realm, Jiyu Fei was just a passerby who would leave sooner or later. By that time, wouldn't the entire ancestral god realm belong to the chaotic golden rock race? Of course, the chaotic golden rock race's wishful thinking was great, but who could predict the final outcome? Jiyu Fei naturally didn't need to prepare anything, but there was a place that he had to go to. Subsequently, Jiyu Fei left the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land. This time, the 3 gargoyle demons and the venerable beast god did not follow him. They temporarily stayed in the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land. Of course, Yu Qiong also stayed in the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land. He had nothing to do and was the most idle person there. Jiyu Fei wanted to contend for hegemony with Kang Qiu. This was an earth-shattering event. The entire East Continent's forces were extremely shocked when they heard the news. Soon, the other forces in the East Continent cursed Kang Qiu's 18 generations of ancestors. This fella actually wanted them to be cannon fodder and take the lead. Whether it was the Divine God clan, the Earth Spirit clan, or the mysterious Snake clan, none of them were convinced. In their opinion, Kang Qiu was trying to weaken their strength. How could they afford to offend the super forces of the Central Continent? The Earth Spirit clan had no choice. Their old ancestor had been sealed by Jiyu Fei. If they disobeyed, their old ancestor would be sealed forever. However, the Divine God clan and the mysterious Snake clan secretly contacted each other. The 2 powerful clans joined forces to contend against Jiyu Fei. In an instant, the entire East Continent's atmosphere became tense. Kang Qiu had just started preparing for the hegemony, but the East Continent was in turmoil again. Chapter 3442. After Jiyu Fei agreed to join forces with Kang Qiu to conquer the world, the entire East Continent was once again shrouded in a tense atmosphere. One had to know that the chaotic golden rock race wasn't the only race in the entire East Continent. Be it the deity tribe, the Earth Spirit tribe, or the Black Snake tribe, none of them were weak. The Earth Spirit tribe's old ancestor had been captured by Jiyu Fei, so the Earth Spirit tribe wouldn't dare to disobey Jiyu Fei's orders. However, the deity tribe and the Black Snake tribe didn't have such concerns. The interactions between the deity tribe and the Black Snake tribe were getting more and more frequent, which made Kang Qiu a little unhappy. He could sense something. Following Jiyu Fei's sudden departure, the deity tribe and the Black Snake tribe no longer had any concerns. On this dark and windy day, countless figures were standing in a valley 3,000 miles away from the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land. These people stood quietly on the empty ground in the valley. No one said a word, and the entire valley was so quiet that one could even hear the sound of breathing. There were actually so many experts gathered in the valley. However, the aura of these experts did not spread out from the valley. The entire valley had been enveloped by a formation, and the inside of the valley seemed to have become a separate world. Even with Kang Qiu's cultivation, it was difficult for him to sense the countless experts gathered in an inconspicuous valley 3,000 miles away. These experts were all dressed in black, and their faces were covered with black cloth, revealing only a pair of sparkling eyes. Time passed, and the moon gradually climbed to the middle of the sky. Suddenly, 2 figures descended from the sky and landed on a huge rock in the valley. They were also dressed in black, and their faces were covered. However, their auras were much stronger than ordinary people's. They were definitely the leaders. "Let's begin," one of the tall and skinny black-clothed men on the boulder said indifferently. In the next moment, the countless experts standing in the valley flew into the sky and rushed out of the valley. At the same time, the two leading experts also flew into the sky. The moment the cultivators rushed out of the valley, Kang Q, the ancestor of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, who was 3,000 miles away, sensed that something was wrong. A distance of 3,000 miles was a distance that could be covered in an instant by a cultivator. Enemy attack. As powerful figures rushed over from afar, the experts of the chaotic Golden Rock clan, who were guarding the ancestral land, hurriedly activated the defensive formation. A light shield appeared in the void and enveloped the entire ancestors' land. However, at that moment, a beam of divine light descended from the sky and directly pierced through the light barrier that enveloped the ancestral land. This shocked the chaotic Golden Rock clan powerhouses. Then, the black-clothed men who were attacking from the outside directly rushed in through the broken hole, courting death. Meanwhile, Kang Q was enraged to the extreme. He charged over from afar and slammed his right palm towards the men in black who were attacking him. Roar! The few black-clothed men hurriedly circulated their Shen Qi, wanting to join forces to block Kang Q's furious attack. An extremely powerful wave of energy immediately exploded from the black-clothed men. Boom! Kang Q's fist smashed down and the men in black were immediately sent flying. They crashed into a pile of rocks and could not stand up for a while. Kang Q was a little surprised. These fellows could actually block a punch from him. How was that possible? These fellows' cultivation bases weren't the strongest among them either. At that moment, many men in black rushed in through the hole in the sky. Good timing, haha, Kang Q laughed out loud as he spat out an extremely sharp sword light. The moment the sword light flashed past, the black-clothed men's movements immediately stopped. In the next moment, a bloody mark appeared on the neck of the mysterious men in black and they fell to the ground. "I'm going to start a massacre today," said Kang Q. He had already guessed what was going to happen. He controlled the sword light and the sword light flashed continuously. The men in black who were sent flying by Kang Q just now had their necks slit. "Kill!" Kang Q roared angrily and soared into the sky, charging towards the gap in the light barrier. Everywhere he passed, no one could withstand a single attack from him. In the blink of an eye, Kang Q rushed out of the ancestors' land with an invincible aura. This guy, at that moment, the monster god walked out of the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestors' land. He was shocked to see Kang Q's massacre. The three gargoyles also came out, but they were not in a hurry to attack. At that moment, outside the light shield, Kang Q was fighting with a masked man. The masked man's cultivation was also extremely strong. The two figures moved quickly in the void. Dense sounds of collisions were heard. The entire void was constantly collapsing, and pitch-black holes appeared one after another. At that moment, a large number of men in black rushed over. Kang Q and the others were immediately surrounded. "How dare you invade my clan? I'll make sure you never return." Peng Jingtian roared. His white hair danced in the wind. He was like a peerless ferocious beast as he pounced towards the group of cultivators in black. It was like a tiger entering a flock of sheep. Screams, and cries were heard. The cultivators in black were constantly blown away and died. On the other side, Peng Shi attacked as well. Countless feathers flew out from his wings and every single feather shone with light. Next, they transformed into startling sword light, which shot towards the black-clad cultivator. As the sword light flashed, black figures fell from the sky one after another. The Golden Rock goddess did not show any weakness. She attacked continuously and killed many of the cultivators in black. "Damn it!" someone roared. Then, an extremely powerful aura suddenly appeared in the distance and quickly approached them. In the next moment, a black figure directly attacked the Golden Rock goddess. What? Peng Shi and Peng Jingtian could not help but worry for the Golden Rock goddess. Bam! Boom! The two figures moved quickly in the sky and fought fiercely. It was not easy to determine the winner. At that moment, Peng Jingtian and Peng Shi also had opponents. These experts also covered their faces, obviously not wanting others to recognize them. Chapter 34-43. Those with ulterior motives in the Eastern continent finally couldn't help but attack when Ji Yufei left the chaotic Golden Rock tribe's ancestral land. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If Ji Yufei was here, those people wouldn't stand a chance at all. But now that Jiu Fei wasn't here, only Kang Q and the divine Yarrow were left. It wasn't impossible for them to take down the chaotic Golden Rock tribe's ancestral land. At this moment, an extremely domineering figure rushed over from afar and fought with Kang Q. Boom, bam. Heavy collisions were heard continuously. The two figures moved quickly and the power of the divine way exploded. The void was torn apart and exploded. Chaotic aura was shot out. Who are you? Kang Q was extremely shocked. Where did this guy come from? How could he be so powerful? The combat strength displayed by this mysterious person was really shocking. He was able to fight Kang Q endlessly. The chaotic Golden Rock tribe powerhouses who witnessed this scene were inexplicably shocked. A sword chime came from Kang Q's body. Streaks of golden sword light rushed out from his body like quicksilver and pierced through the mysterious person. An extremely powerful wave of sword aura spread out from Kang Q's body. The surrounding temperature dropped rapidly under the impact of the sword aura. The mysterious person sneered. He waved his hands in front of him and a pitch-black vortex immediately appeared in front of him. The golden sword light that rushed out from Kang Q's body was swallowed by the black vortex. What? Kang Q was taken aback. This fella was actually able to break through his golden rock sword ray. At this moment, he only felt a devouring force surging out from the black whirlpool, pulling him forward uncontrollably. The mysterious person wanted to use the devouring force produced by the collapse of the void to devour Kang Q into the black vortex. Kang Q flew towards the black whirlpool involuntarily. He was actually swallowed by the black whirlpool. Everyone from the Chaos Golden Rock race turned pale with fright. Great Ancestor, the Golden Rock Goddess expression changed drastically. She was distracted and was immediately slapped on her left shoulder by her opponent. She was sent flying hundreds of feet away. A stream of blood seeped out from the corner of the Golden Rock Goddess' mouth. Humph! You dare to be distracted while fighting with me? You're courting death. A clear voice rang out, and the masked woman in black who was fighting against the Golden Peng Goddess walked over. There were 9 rays of divine light circling her body, making her seem extremely holy. You, the goddess glared angrily at the mysterious woman who was approaching her. Then, she reached out to wipe away the blood at the corner of her mouth. A powerful killing intent emanated from her body. Haha, you want to kill me? I'm afraid you don't have that ability. The black-clothed masked woman laughed and slapped towards the goddess. A powerful force instantly erupted from the masked woman's palm and enveloped the goddess. The space enveloped by the power of the black-clothed masked woman's palm trembled violently, and a series of pitch-black spatial cracks appeared. The Golden Rock Goddess felt as if the void around her had solidified. The destructive power of the spatial collapse was heading towards her. You cowardly scoundrel! Do you dare to take off your mask and fight me fair and square? The Golden Rock Goddess said disdainfully. At the same time, her body shook, and boundless metal elemental divine power immediately erupted from her body. A golden rock vaguely appeared in the golden light. The golden peng bird that had appeared on the Golden Peng Goddess flapped its wings gently and blocked the destructive palm force from the Golden Peng Goddess. The void around the Golden Rock Goddess was being destroyed. A powerful divine power erupted from the Golden Rock, and the void was being destroyed continuously. Haha, are you trying to provoke me? Your trick is useless against me, the masked woman laughed. The masked woman laughed heartily. She wouldn't expose her true identity just because of a few words from the other party. This time, the forces of the East Continent were very cautious when they attacked the chaotic Golden Rock tribe. They did not want to show their true faces because they were afraid of being recognized. After all, Kang Q was backed by Jiu Fei. Once Jiu Fei returned, he would definitely deal with everyone who had attacked the chaotic Golden Rock tribe today. Boom! At that moment, there was a loud noise. The black vortex that the mysterious person who was fighting with Kang Q had conjured exploded. A figure charged out from the exploding vortex and punched the mysterious person's chest. The mysterious person was sent flying tens of thousands of meters away. Boom! He crashed into a short mountain, causing rocks to fly and dust to billow. At the same time, The void around the golden rock goddess exploded. She slapped her palm and collided with the opponent's palm. The golden rock goddess and the masked woman were sent flying thousands of meters away at the same time. They were extremely shocked. At this moment, Kang Q, who had burst out of the black vortex, was like a shadow. In an instant, he was in front of the mysterious man. He opened his mouth and spat out an extremely sharp sword light that pierced towards the mysterious man. It was the extreme path sword weapon that he had refined all those years ago. A wave of extreme path sword way power immediately spread out from the sword light. "You're not the only one with an extreme grade divine weapon," the mysterious person sneered. Then, a divine light rose from the back of his head and rushed forward. Within the divine light, an extreme grade divine wheel was faintly discernible. In the next moment, the two divine weapons of the extreme path collided with each other. Terrifying extreme path power erupted, forming an energy storm that swept out. Everything in its path was destroyed. More than a dozen figures could not dodge in time and were directly turned into clouds of blood mist by the mighty energy storm. Their bodies and souls were directly destroyed. They could not be more dead. Everyone turned pale with fright. They stopped what they were doing and fled into the distance in panic. At that moment, everyone stopped. The cultivators on the mysterious person's side retreated to one side, while the people of the chaotic Golden Rock clan retreated to the other side. The two camps were facing each other. Even the Golden Rock goddess, Peng Shi, and Peng Jingtian retreated. At that moment, everyone was nervously watching the two strong cultivators who were fighting. After all, the result of this battle would be the result of the mysterious person's attack on the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. If Kang Q lost, then the ancestral land would be taken away. However, if Kang Q won, then everyone who came to attack the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan tonight would be completely annihilated. No one would be able to escape. Kill. Only his eyes were revealed. His eyes were red and his murderous intent was shocking. It was as if he was about to fall into madness. He controlled his divine wheel and continuously collided with Kang Q's extreme grade sword weapon. Clanging sounds were heard. The extreme grade sword light cut through the void, but it could not break through the divine wheel. Swoosh! At that moment, under the full power of the mysterious person, the wheel of the divine path instantly turned into 9. Other than one of the 9 wheels of the divine path that blocked Kang Q's divine sword of the great path, the other 8 wheels of the divine path rose into the sky at the same time and spun towards Kang Q. What? Kang Q was shocked, but he did not panic. With a thought, 9 divine patterns of the great path immediately rushed out from his body and instantly imprinted themselves in the void. A powerful force spread from the 9 divine patterns of the great path and actually froze the 8 divine wheels that were slashing towards him. When the mysterious man saw this, he was extremely shocked. Clang! At that moment, Kang Q's extreme grade divine sword suddenly exploded with an even more powerful force of swordsmanship. It actually shook off the divine sun that blocked the divine sword. Swoosh! With a flash of the sword light, the mysterious person's left arm fell off. Roar! The mysterious person's vision turned black from the pain and he almost fainted. He forcefully endured the pain and directly retreated. Kill! Kang Q roared angrily. The 8 divine wheels that were frozen in the void by his extreme grade 9 seals technique immediately collapsed. Countless divine lights dissipated in the void. The mysterious person hurriedly waved his hand, and the remaining divine wheel immediately flew back to the sky above his head. It slowly rotated and released the power of the extreme grade. Go to hell! Kang Q roared angrily. His entire body was emitting golden light. In the next moment, he soared into the sky and became one with the sword. The most powerful force of the extreme grade sword was drawn out by him. The combat power displayed by becoming one with the sword was indeed shocking. The sword light instantly slashed in front of the mysterious person and penetrated his body at an extremely fast speed. How dare you? I can't accept this. After saying this, the mysterious person turned into dust and dissipated in the void. A powerhouse of a generation had fallen just like that. What? All the masked powerhouses were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Run! Someone yelled. Then, The masked cultivators immediately burst into an uproar and ran away in panic. "Don't let a single one of them go," Kang Q said with a murderous look as he looked at the fleeing masked cultivators. At that moment, he had already retreated from the state of becoming one with the sword. "Haha, these guys can't escape." The demon god laughed and made his move. With a wave of his right hand, a blood-red light immediately flew out from his hand and soared into the sky. It then flew towards the fleeing masked cultivators. Streaks of red light descended from the sky and directly nailed the fleeing cultivators. Each streak of red light was actually a blood-red divine needle. Those were the blood shadow divine needles refined by the demon god. The cultivators who were pierced by the blood shadow divine needles only had one ending, death. Countless blood shadow needles fell, and the masked cultivators who were fleeing in all directions immediately fell to the ground. Chapter 34-44. The forces of the East Continent joined forces and attacked the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan while Jiu Fei was away. In the beginning, it was very smooth. They even broke through the Chaos Golden Rock Race's defensive array and killed their way into the Chaos Golden Rock Race's ancestral land. However, the situation changed when Kang Q and the others attacked. Kang Q recovered his cultivation very quickly. The combat power he displayed was beyond everyone's expectations. Therefore, those who wanted to kill Kang Q were out of luck. When the peerless expert who could fight endlessly with Kang Q was killed by Kang Q, the mysterious cultivators instantly scattered in all directions. However, the masked cultivators who came to attack the ancestral land of the chaotic Golden Rock clan could no longer escape. 3 devil shadows that were so powerful that they caused people's hearts to palpitate walked over from afar. The 3 devil path experts made their move, and the devil path expert in the lead was naturally the Chaos Devil Ape. The Chaos Demon Ape let out a roar and spat out a stream of demonic fire towards the cultivators who were trying to escape. In the next moment, screams were heard. Several cultivators fell in the demonic fire. They were instantly burned into ashes and disappeared in the void. When the masked cultivators saw this, they immediately turned pale with fright and quickly retreated. At that moment, a demonic net descended from the sky and trapped the panicking cultivators. In the next moment, the cultivators screamed in pain. A thick layer of transparent ice grew on their bodies, turning them into ice sculptures. The demonic spider of extreme yin was attacking. The demonic energy of extreme yin spread out from the demonic net of extreme yin, freezing all the cultivators who were enveloped by the net. Whoosh! A gust of wind blew and the ice sculptures fell to the ground. They were instantly smashed into pieces. Those who were turned into ice sculptures died instantly. Streams of essence rushed out from the broken ice and were devoured by the demonic net. At the same time, the dragon head demon also attacked. However, it was not as gentle as the Chaos Demon Ape and the Tai Yin Demon Spider. It directly charged into the crowd. In the next moment, the crowd was immediately covered in blood and flesh. Most of the cultivators didn't even have time to let out a scream before they were blasted into a mist of blood by the dragon head demon's fist. The dragon head demon's body was like a bottomless devil's nest. It was actually devouring the blood mist, directly absorbing the enormous essence energy contained in the blood mist. Bathed in blood, the dragon head demon appeared even more ferocious. His murderous nature and demonic nature were completely stimulated by the blood. A mass of blood-colored demonic light appeared on his body. It was as if a blood-colored demonic flame was burning, making people's hearts palpitate. The power of the extreme Tao made the dragon head demon invincible. Wherever he passed, no cultivator could withstand a single punch from him. All the masked cultivators were scared out of their wits by this scene. This guy was a real bloodthirsty demon. The masked cultivators near the dragon head demon quickly fled. They did not dare to approach the demon. "All of you, come here." The dragon head demon roared angrily. His body shook, and a wave of devouring demonic power immediately surged out from his body. All the masked cultivators in the area immediately flew toward him involuntarily. "Spare me, I don't want to die. Spare me, please let me go." Countless masked cultivators struggled desperately, trying to escape. However, all of this was in vain. The cultivators who flew toward the dragon-head demon collapsed into clouds of blood mist when they were about 100 feet away from the dragon-head demon. They turned into streams of chi and blood that rushed toward the dragon-head demon and entered his body. Fellow with a dragon head, do you want to eat it all for yourself? Seeing this, the chaos demon ape was displeased. He stretched out his hand, and a wave of devouring power immediately rushed out from his hand. Immediately, streams of bloodlight flew toward his palm and were refined into his demonic essence energy. Haha, you can't eat it all for yourself. The supreme yin demon spider laughed and also snatched the cultivator's chi and blood, wanting a piece of the pie. You two bastards. Seeing this, the dragon-head demon became anxious. That was the result of his battle. How could he let these two fellows reap the fruits of his labor? These two fellows were too despicable. He circulated his demonic power with all his might and finally obtained most of the chi and blood, but in the end, the Chaos Demon Ape and the Supreme Yin Demon Spider still managed to snatch a small portion of their chi and blood. Although the three great stone golem demons obeyed Jiu Fei, none of them were willing to submit to each other. However, it was undeniable that the Chaos Demon Ape's cultivation and combat strength were the strongest among the three great stone golem demons. Although the Supreme Yin Demon Spider and the Dragon-Head Demon were unwilling to submit, they were well aware of this fact. These three fellows could not fight. With the three great demonic experts taking action, the masked cultivators who sneak attacked the Chaos Golden Rock Clan's ancestral land were quickly slaughtered. It was a one-sided battle without any suspense. Kang Q and the Demon Divine stood aside and watched the show. The Demon Divine had already retrieved the Blood Shadow Divine Needle. The Blood Shadow Divine Needle was his trump card. He did not use it even when he was fighting against Jiu Fei. The power of the Blood Shadow Divine Needle was still very terrifying. The task of cleaning up the battlefield was naturally left to the others. However, just when everyone thought that the mysterious cultivators had been completely annihilated, an arrow suddenly fell from the sky and shot toward Kang Q's head at an extremely fast speed. Kang Q stretched out his hand and grabbed the sharp arrow that was shooting toward his head. Who are you, scoundrel? Do you dare to come out and fight me? Kang Q scanned the surroundings and a domineering aura erupted from his body. His eyes were like cold stars shining in the darkness, and his murderous intent soared into the sky. Catcher. He exerted force in his hand and broke the black arrow in his hand. However, at that moment, the response to Kang Q was a series of extremely sharp arrowlights. The arrowlights fell from the sky and shot toward Kang Q and the others. It was as though there was a rain of arrows in the sky. Everyone was shocked. Preposterous. Kang Q roared angrily and his eyes turned sharp. He stretched out his hand and slapped toward the sky. The Golden Rock's divine power exploded and a giant golden hand appeared in the void, blocking the entire sky. Countless sharp arrows that fell from the sky shattered under his giant golden hand. Extreme Dao-level energy waves spread from the giant golden hand. Rumble, the giant golden hand crushed the countless arrowlights and rushed into the sky. Countless stars shook as though they were about to fall from the starry sky. Kang Q actually killed old ancestor Mo Du. Chapter 3445. Although Kang Q's golden palm reached the starry sky, it posed no threat to the mysterious expert standing on the other side of the starry sky. Swoosh. The mysterious powerhouse drew the bow in his hand. As the bow was drawn, the power of the stars in the surroundings immediately converged towards the bow in the mysterious powerhouse's hand. The pitch-black bow lit up, and rays of divine light circled around it. Ancient and mysterious patterns appeared on the body of the bow, and a powerful extreme power spread out from the bow. Extreme Dao-level power quickly gathered on the bowstring, and a divine arrow immediately appeared on the bowstring. At this moment, the divine light emitted by the endless power of the stars was much brighter than the stars in the surrounding starry sky. Kang Q, let's see if you can withstand my strongest arrow. As the mysterious expert spoke, he had already drawn the bow in his hand completely, and his aura had also risen to the limit. A terrifying extreme power spread from the divine bow, and the entire starry sky was shaking. The dozen or so stars closest to the mysterious expert directly exploded. The power of the stars turned into streaks of divine rainbows that flew towards the huge bow and entered the divine arrow on the bowstring. The fluctuation of the extreme power that spread from the bow became even stronger. This was an arrow that had gathered the monstrous power of the stars. The power of this arrow was probably enough to destroy the entire East continent. Therefore, Kang Q had no choice but to withstand this arrow. If he could withstand it, everyone would be happy. If he couldn't, the countless living beings of the entire East continent would be buried with him. At this moment, the golden palm that Kang Q had shot out dissipated in the starry sky. At the same time, Kang Q finally sensed the threat from the other side of the starry sky. Not only Kang Q, but the other unparalleled experts of the East continent also sensed the terrifying fluctuation of energy from the other side of the starry sky. Crazy, that guy is crazy. An angry roar was heard from the ancestral land of the mysterious Snake Clan. Immediately after, a ball of divine light appeared in the sky above the ancestral land of the mysterious Snake Clan and enveloped the ancestral land. The mysterious Snake Clan had started a defensive battle. This was a last resort. Even if the East continent was destroyed, the mysterious Snake Clan's ancestral land would survive under the protection of the Ultimate Guardian formation. The Celestial God Clan and the Earth Spirit Clan also took action and activated the defensive formation. Who hired that guy? I'll beat him to death. An ancestor of the Heavenly God Clan roared. In the Earth Spirit Clan's ancestral land, the Earth Spirit Emperor's face was gloomy. That guy is a little too much. The voice of the Earth Spirit Emperor echoed in the spacious hall. At this moment, on the other side of the starry sky, all the stars in the starry sky dimmed. The divine light emitted by the man and the bow was countless times brighter than any other stars, illuminating the entire starry sky. The bow in the hands of the mysterious expert was incredible. It had actually gathered the power of the stars of a small half of the starfield. Such a powerful force, once erupted, would definitely destroy the world. Could it be that guy? Outside the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land, Kang Q suddenly thought of someone. His expression immediately turned grave. What a powerful energy fluctuation. The demon god and the others could naturally sense the energy fluctuation from the other side of the starry sky. They couldn't help but change their expressions. Who's causing trouble? At this moment, on a mountain ridge outside the Black Demon Sea in the East continent, a black-robed young man raised his head and looked at the starry sky. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the starry sky and see the other side of the starry sky. Even outside the Black Demon Sea, he could sense the powerful aura from the other side of the starry sky. The black-robed young man was Ji Fei. He had left the chaotic golden rock race's ancestral land and came to the Black Demon Sea. He had wandered in the Black Demon Sea before, so he naturally wanted to come back and take a look. However, unlike the last time, he was outside the Black Demon Sea this time. Previously, he had directly appeared in the Black Demon Sea. At this moment, the entire starry sky above the firmament suddenly shook. Then, an immortal divine light directly penetrated the starry sky from the other side of the starry sky and directly shot down on the East continent. Rumble, with the descent of the divine light, the entire heaven and earth began to tremble. The entire void was shaken by the vast power of the divine light. The terrifying energy fluctuation shrouded the entire East continent. The souls of countless living beings were trembling as if doomsday had arrived. As a matter of fact, it was truly the end of the world. If no one stopped the destructive arrow, the entire eastern continent would be destroyed. It would definitely be a disaster for the living beings of the entire East continent. That's a little too much. Ji Fei, who was standing on the peak of the mountain ridge outside the Black Demon Sea, couldn't help but narrow his eyes when he saw that scene. The guy who attacked had no scruples and didn't care about the lives of billions of living beings at all. If the arrow really blew up the entire East continent, it would cause an unimaginable massacre that would harm the harmony of heaven and earth. Of course, a peerless expert whose cultivation base had reached a level where he could destroy heaven and earth would naturally not care about heaven and earth. So what if he harmed the harmony of heaven and earth? Such an existence could directly ignore the punishment of heaven and earth. Ji Fei didn't plan to attack because someone else had already done so. A gigantic golden rock soared from the ground. Waves of power at the extreme Tao level spread from the golden rock. The golden rock was like a golden sun, its body emitting golden rays that lit up the entire night sky. The golden rock spread its wings and shrieked. It instantly turned into an immortal golden ray and collided with the arrow that was descending from the sky. Immediately after, a loud bang spread across the entire East continent. A gigantic black hole appeared in the sky above the East continent. This was a scene that countless cultivators would never forget. The chaotic golden rock that soared from the ground was directly shot by the arrow that descended from the sky. Golden feathers flew and chaotic blood splattered. The scene was extremely realistic, as if a chaotic golden rock had really been shot to death by an arrow. The energy fluctuations that erupted directly caused the void to be annihilated. A huge black hole that appeared high up in the sky was filled with primal chaos chi. However, to everyone's astonishment, the sword light did not dissipate after shooting the chaotic golden rock. It continued to shoot toward the East continent. What? Kang Q coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Just now, he used all his strength, but he still couldn't block that arrow and was heavily injured. When he saw that the arrow was still shooting towards the ground, his body couldn't help but tremble, and he directly sat on the ground. Let me. Chapter 3446. The mysterious powerhouse shot a destructive arrow at Kang Q from the other side of the starry sky. The might of this arrow shook the galaxy. It was unknown how many times more resplendent the immortal arrow light was compared to those bright stars. Wherever the arrow light passed, the stars directly exploded, and the power of the stars all fused into that arrow. Therefore, when the arrow pierced through the starry sky and landed on the land of the East continent, it was at its strongest. The power of the arrow shot by the mysterious powerhouse was enough to destroy the entire East continent. This was without a doubt. The powerhouses in the entire East continent felt threatened when the divine arrow fell from the sky. The other three major clans of the East continent activated their defensive formations to protect their ancestral lands. The ancestral lands of the chaotic Golden Rock clan were the first to be affected. This was because the target of the arrow shot by the powerhouse from the other side of the starry sky was Kang Q and the ancestral lands that he had just rebuilt. Anyone could have dodged this arrow, but not Kang Q. If he did, the Chaos Golden Rock race would be done for. Roar. Kang Q raised his head to the sky and roared. The divine power of the Golden Rock surged from his body and 9 divine inscriptions circled around him. The shadow of a golden bird rushed out from his body and directly flew towards the arrow of light that shot down from the sky. The chaotic Golden Rock spread its wings and unleashed the power of the extreme grade. Boom! With a loud bang, the chaotic Golden Rock that had charged out of Kang Q's body collided with the god's destruction arrow that had descended from the sky. In the next moment, the chaotic Golden Rock let out a miserable cry as it had actually exploded from the arrow. Kang Q's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was chaotic blood. Every drop of blood contained the chaotic Golden Rock divine power. The chaotic Golden Rock's shadow that rushed out of his body was shot down by the divine arrow. He suffered a great impact and looked exhausted. However, what shocked Kang Q was that after the arrow destroyed the chaotic Golden Rock's shadow, it was still shooting at him. Damn it, I'm going to kill you. Kang Q was about to spit out the extreme-grade divine sword that he refined in the past to fight the guy in the sky. At that moment, a figure walked out and stood in front of him. Let me. He stared at the immortal light arrow that shot down from the sky with a solemn expression. In the next moment, countless Tao runes rushed out from his body. Countless Tao patterns were imprinted in the void, forming a huge array. Boom! The void rumbled, and the formation began to operate quickly. A huge black hole immediately appeared in the formation. Then, an extreme Tao-level devouring power immediately surged out from the formation, wanting to devour the arrow light falling from the sky. The demon god's power was mighty, the earth was shaking, and the void was annihilated. When the demon god attacked with full force, it also had the power to destroy heaven and earth. Everyone was shocked to the extreme when they saw that scene. The demon god stood on the ground with his long hair dancing wildly, his tall figure full of power. Swoosh! The annihilating god arrow shot into a black hole created by the demon god's formation power. The next moment, the black hole exploded. The demon god let out a muffled groan as if he was hit by an invisible divine mountain. His entire body was sent flying. Boom! With a loud sound, he hit a stone mountain thousands of feet away, and the entire stone mountain was directly smashed by him. Suddenly, rocks flew into the sky, dust was flying everywhere, and the area around the stone mountain was raining stones. Seeing that scene, everyone was dumbfounded. The demon god was not a weakling. His cultivation was extremely powerful. Even if he was not as strong as Kang-Q, he was not far behind. However, the arrow from the extraterrestrial expert was able to directly break the demon god's divine power. The power of that arrow was simply heaven-defying. After breaking the demon god's divine power, the arrow light directly shot toward Kang-Q. This time, no one stood up to block the arrow for Kang-Q. Although it was blocked twice, the star power fluctuation emitted by the arrow light was still powerful enough to make Kang-Q feel despair. Is this the legendary annihilating arrow shot by the sky-punishing bow? An old voice rang out, and an old man appeared in the sky. That old man was the Eastern Pole Old Man. The arrow shot by the expert from beyond the heavens had caused too much of a commotion, so it naturally alerted the old man. What? The sky-punishing bow? The sky-punishing bow appeared again? Hearing the East Pole Old Man's words, some old antique experts were shocked. No wonder the arrow light was so powerful. It turned out to be the annihilating arrow shot by the sky-punishing bow. The sky-punishing bow and the annihilating arrow were very famous in that ancient era. That was because there was really someone who held the sky-punishing bow and shot an arrow to destroy a part of the world. That madman actually obtained the legendary sky-punishing bow? Some people still knew some details about the extraterrestrial expert. After all, those forces in the East Continent wanted to take advantage of the fact that Gu Fei was not in the chaotic Golden Rock Clan's ancestral land to wipe out the chaotic Golden Rock Clan's ancestral land. The extraterrestrial expert was a helper hired by one of those forces. Arrow Ancestor, is it really him? It seems like only that madman can shoot such a shocking arrow. At that moment, the demon venerable's voice sounded. He walked out from the rubble. He was the first to bear the brunt of the divine ability being broken, so he was heavily injured. Arrow Ancestor? Kang-Q was very puzzled. It was the first time he heard this name. It seemed like this Arrow Ancestor was an ancestral god realm expert who rose after he was lost in the chaotic demon realm. However, he didn't have time to think too much because the Arrow Ancestor's arrow was already shooting towards him. Kang-Q was about to spit out his divine sword, but at that moment, a hand suddenly stretched out from the side and grabbed the arrow light in front of Kang-Q. What? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They hurriedly looked over and saw that the person who had caught the arrow was a black-clothed young man. This black-clothed young man wasn't very handsome, but he had a unique charm that made it hard for others to forget his appearance with a single glance. Mars. Master. The demon venerable was surprised and overjoyed when he saw the black-robed young man. The black-robed young man was Gu Fei. He actually returned at this time. Gu Fei's return surprised and delighted the chaotic Golden Rock Clan. At that moment, Gu Fei exerted force in his right hand that grabbed the arrow light. The arrow light in his hand immediately shattered, turned into specks of spiritual light, and dissipated in the void. Greetings, Master. The three stone devils hurriedly walked over and knelt before Gu Fei. They were sincerely convinced that Gu Fei's battle strength was really amazing. Get up. With a wave of Gu Fei's hand, the three gargoyles involuntarily stood up from the ground. What? The moment Gu Fei crushed the arrow light, the Arrow Ancestor, who was on the other side of the starry sky, sensed that his arrow had been destroyed. Who the hell is it? The mysterious man's body was shrouded in divine light. The black bow in his hand had already calmed down. At this moment, the black bow didn't seem to be attractive at all. However, it was this huge bow that had almost destroyed the Eastern Continent. Even if it hadn't, the chaotic Golden Rock Clan's ancestral land would have been destroyed. Master, you're finally back. Yu Qiong walked over from afar. However, Ji Yufei ignored Yu Qiong and looked up at the stars in the sky. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the starry sky and fell on the arrow ancestor. In the next moment, Ji Yufei's figure disappeared into the void without any warning. No one could see how he disappeared. Everyone was shocked. They could guess where Ji Yufei had gone. The Eastern Pole old man also left. Some old antiques also soared into the sky and rushed into the starry sky. At this moment, Ji Yufei's figure had already appeared in the depths of the starry sky. However, no matter how fast he was still one step too late. He could only see a blur disappearing into the boundless starry sky. You sure run fast. Ji Yufei muttered to himself. He took a step forward and countless stars swept past him. It was as if the entire world had turned upside down. In the next moment, he appeared in the sky above the eastern continent. He took another step forward and arrived in the sky above the chaotic Golden Rock clan's ancestral land. Such speed left even the ancient existences astonished. It was even faster than teleportation. Ji Yufei's 8 desolation steps allowed him to travel in all directions. This wasn't a lie. What the hell happened? Ji Yufei returned as quickly as he went. He arrived in front of Kang Q and asked coldly. He scanned the surroundings and saw corpses all over the place. It was obvious how fierce the battle was. Kang Q sighed. His tense nerves immediately relaxed when he saw Ji Yufei return. He sat down on the ground and crossed his legs. Someone wants to destroy my chaotic Golden Rock clan. After Kang Q said that, he started to circulate his Shen Qi to heal his injuries. There aren't many forces in the eastern continent that have the ability to do so. Would they dare to do such a thing? Ji Yufei's face darkened. Since the 3 forces didn't know what was good for them, they shouldn't blame him for being ruthless. At that moment, the 3 stone demons, Yu Qiong, the venerable beast god, the Golden Rock goddess, and the others walked over. The 3 stone demons were full of vitality and had obtained quite a lot of benefits. The venerable beast god, on the other hand, was unlucky. Not only did he not obtain any benefits, but he was also seriously injured. The onlookers retreated at that moment because there was no more fun to watch. Naturally, there were people from the 3 forces among them. I'll make sure they won't be able to cry even if they wanted to,